Okay, let me send it to you in Slack.
Yeah.
After Jesse speaks, are you gonna do like a quick recap and then maybe let Thomas recap the company or just like dive straight into it?
Yeah, I'll do recap. I have a slide for that too. And then we'll just jump right into it just because might take some time because some of the submissions are like 15 minutes.
Oh, like a 15-minute video?
Yeah. So I'll try 1.2 exit. So basically we just have to like ram through it all back to back.
Damn, okay. And then they will submit the score on the group that we have on WhatsApp. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Can you keep an eye out on, do you know the sheet that I sent them? Or if you go to cymate.io/ignite-judges, they should
Mhm.
redirect you to that sheet. Yeah, can you double check all the judges as we go, just to make sure they put in their score and then tally it at the end.
Yeah, summit.io/ignite/judges.
Say one more time.
Summit.io/ignite/judges. Okay, yeah, I see it.
That judges, yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Hello, just testing. It doesn't show me on the live stream.
Oh, I think there's just a delay.
Yes. It doesn't show me on the live stream. I see. It is.
Oh, wait, maybe if I pin you.
No, 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 no. It did show me.
Okay.
It's like 10 seconds later. All right. Gonna redirect that. Oh, all right. Let me see. Canva. Can you hear my background, by the way?
No, I don't hear anything.
Okay, cool. They're doing some kind of construction outside. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. And I'm back. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hi, VZ. I'm good. What about you? Am I pronouncing your name right?
Wesley, yes. Enox is
Wesley. Okay.
we're both
Sorry.
we're both Cymate admin for today. Cool.
You and Enoch.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Oh,
what's funny is I also have another friend named Enoch, and we usually call him um I knock on door.
it's crazy.
Cool, cool. All right. Yeah, looking forward to today. Last time we had a little streaming situation, so we dragged everybody into Zoom, but today we have it on YouTube, so anyone can just watch it through the live stream. So yeah, super excited. We got a couple attendees already on the Zoom call and a couple more on the live stream.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. Enoch, I think a couple of people are waiting in the waiting room. It says start the webinar.
Yeah, we can start it now or wait for Jesse.
Oh, I can start now. Can I start it? I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Okay, start it. Start. Cool. All right. Amazing. All right. Super excited. I see people are joining now. Quick heads up, guys. If you have any issue during the Zoom call, sorted out the live stream situation today. So if you simply go to cymate.io/ignite-live, it should be live stream on YouTube in case you guys lose connection and you want to see it on your phone or whatever the situation is. For disclaimer, if you watch the live stream on YouTube, there might be like a slight delay. So I think we tested it out. It's like a 10-second delay, but yeah, you can also watch the live stream on YouTube if you want. All right. Yeah, let's give it a couple minutes for Jesse to kick things off. He was pretty excited to show the the demo, the speaking today. So looking forward to see that. And yeah, we'll kick things up with Jesse, and then we'll go right into the top 10 demos. Got some excited submissions from yesterday, so looking forward to show that to everybody. Let me see.
All right.
Hey,
Good to see
Jesse,
everybody.
how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. We're doing absolutely amazing. Do you want to give it maybe like 2 more minutes and then you can kick things off with
Yeah,
your speaking session?
perfect.
Amazing. We finally got the streaming situation sorted out. So it is on YouTube. So we gotta
RT, what is it, RTMP or whatever you gotta do?
say one more time.
You gotta use like it's like the art, there's an address that you have to set up Zoom on, like a web address.
Yeah, we tried to do that on LinkedIn last time. It didn't work. So this time we stream on YouTube. It's a lot easier to set it up. So
Yeah, there's an address. I did it on Zoom before. You gotta set the
Hmm.
address up and then it works.
Yeah. But yeah, should be live on YouTube. So we were able to drag a few folks on the Zoom live call today, mainly competing individuals, and then everyone else should be watching it on YouTube.
Nice. Did you get the scoring? I gave the scoring of my score, what I thought. Did you see that?
Let me see. I did not, but I will get it sorted
It
out.
was a it was a clear winner in my opinion. It was pretty easy to figure out.
Who would it be? Well, everybody else, you guys gotta
I don't
watch
wanna
the the top 10 to
Didn't
find
have to
out.
watch it. Didn't have to watch, but I was clear on who I thought won.
Abdul, welcome in. How's it going? I love the setup.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm still getting it organized. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Super professional. If you guys don't know, Abdul is the founder of Master Inbox. So stick around. We do got a crazy raffle for Master Inbox today when we announce a top 10 winner. So stick around. This is for everybody. So, um, all right, Jesse, I'm sure people will join along the way. Again, we do have the live stream on Cymate.io dash ignite dash live. So if you ever have any issue with the Zoom call, feel free to hop into the YouTube live stream. But yeah, Enoch, just a housekeeping question. Do we have everything recorded and ready to go?
Yes, sir. We are good to go.
Amazing. All right,
So
Jesse,
who
take
do
it
we
away.
have on here live right now? Do we have some people?
Yeah, we got, let me see, 21 people live right now on the Zoom call.
Okay, perfect. Is it mainly like contestants or?
Yeah, everyone's very eager to find out who made top 10. Yep.
All right, perfect. Well, I won't stand in your way very long here. So Jesse Willett here, founder of Lead Magic. Wanted to just quickly introduce myself. So I was a sales rep, working as Fortune 50 seller. Had a career change pre-COVID, or like right around the time COVID was happening, where I was fired from the big SaaS world of enterprise software, and could have gone back, had plenty of offers to go back. Anybody will give you $1 million quota and tell you got to go hit it. So that wasn't hard to do, but knew that wasn't the path for me. So knew that I really wanted to build a SaaS company, but I couldn't do it right out of the gate because I still needed to keep the cash flow coming in, right? As everybody knows, the further you get into your career, that sort of stuff happens. You need to kind of keep your cash flow going for your family or whatnot. And then as that changed, basically coming in through there, I decided to start building the SaaS product while I got my agency up. So when I got to about a little over $1 million ARR, I was like, all right, I'm going to shut the agency down. I don't even want to do this anymore. I was doing a lot of cold emails. I was, using a lot of the tools people are probably using on the call and, building my own stuff. And then I said, all right, I'm going to just do email validation. Email validation, it costs like what? 0.00000, like there's a lot of zeros there, right? That's like the market for it. And you usually do it in API calls, right? And also started another group on WhatsApp called the SaaS Yacht Club, which is a sort of a lot of growth hackers are in there and whatnot. It's a lot of fun. But basically what we did was we started out email validation, and I really didn't have much of a UI. I didn't have any developers. Started up my own leisure and said, I'm going to be pulling away all these clients that are paying me a lot of money. I was charging a lot. I wasn't charging like 3 to 5K. I was charging more, 5 to 15 to 20 to 30 a month, like bigger, retainers and Obviously, those are challenging to keep, but that's what we did. We took a lot of money up front and we tried to deliver the best results. And then as we did it more and more, I realized, hey, this isn't what I wanted to do. So I didn't have a lot of employees. I didn't do that. I just decided to pivot towards SaaS. So I started building on low code, no code platforms and doing a lot of copy and pasting on ChatGPT, and then realized, hey, this is better than that. I got to scale it up faster. So then, 2 years later, we're over 1,500 customers, and we've got pretty good business is growing. Still a very small team. We only have I have three contract software engineers. Two of them I just hired, so we got to like 1,500 customers without that, and then without three, right? We had one, me and another person, and we're growing pretty fast actually. And we've been fortunate to be part of the GTM engineering movement. There's a lot of good there. There's a lot of people that are trying to disrupt some stuff. So I think that's kind of a good sign, but that's kind of like where we're at. So I was going to show today just like how I would build like an agency portal. If I didn't have one, I was going to build one live here. So what I'll do is I'll pause there, see if you have any questions on the Cymate side or the audience. And if not, I'll go right into the building part.
Let me check the chat really quick, but I believe there's no question at the moment. So you're free to take it away.
Perfect. Yeah. So, all right. So Cymate, you guys do a lot of like, it's like cold. You guys are mainly doing a lot of cold email for customers, right?
Yeah. Not just us, but I think a lot of the attendees here are also agency owners that are doing the same thing too.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, what I'm going to do today is sort of build um, I'm going to build, and how long do I have just for time? Just time check. It's 12:40 now, so I have about what, like 30 minutes?
Yeah. Feel free to kind of go over time a little bit. Can we
Okay.
start? Yeah.
So basically, what I want to do today is I want to assume that Cymate is like building. They want to build sort of the onboarding, maybe a lead magnet or something like that, right? So they want to. So I'll show you how I would use AI to build that and, build you guys a lead magnet for generating customers. So let's just start it out here. So basically, this is a scary screen if you've never seen it before, but this is where you start your day if you're a developer. You usually, even in the daytime, you keep it in dark mode just for the hell of it here. But so let's just basically start here. And for an agency that sends cold emails, let's say we didn't really know what to build, right? We want to build. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the chat. I want to build an agency lead magnet for Cymate, which helps clients with cold email and lead generation. So use their site or give the details back or options for a lead magnet where it is at the source of the problem. Okay. So then basically what I'm trying to do is just get a sense of, like, let's just say I didn't even really know what I wanted to build, but then we'll do that. So it's going to go out, it's going to go grab some of the stuff here. So here's a couple of good audits, right? So website to ICP. So this could be a good one. Lead list health checker. So we could see the domain health, the catch-all health, all of that. So that's not a bad one either. Cold email deliverability audit. That's not a bad one either. So spam score checker. Okay, these are all pretty solid. So why don't you give me which one you would like you'd want to build the most, and then we'll build it in code. And by the way, we're building this in code. This isn't like I'm hiring a developer. This is like we're going to build it in code right now, right? So which one do you think might sort of help you the most? Like that would be the closest to your customers or whatever, right?
Yeah. I think the most valuable one would be some sort of like cold email audit, but I know not everybody's running cold email, so maybe the one that's most relevant is the first option, like some sort of website to ICP.
Okay.
Yeah.
So website to ICP, let's do the all right, perfect. Let's do yeah, let's do that. Let's do the website. So website to so you're basically like, how about we kind of combine them both? Why don't we do one um that allows us to basically what we're going to do is let's do one where we have like a risk score. Um Basically like we'll look at the ICP and we'll kind of figure out like so are you saying like identify your ICP or are you saying more like
Sorry,
figure out
sorry, Jesse, scratch that. I am getting a lot of heat in the comments saying they want to see option four instead. So can we switch to
okay,
that?
competitor prospecting reverse
Yeah.
engineer. So fire okay, so you want to basically say so you want to say like what specifically about this one did they want?
Let's see. Yeah. Emil, what do you think four is hot? Let's see.
So four would be that would be the like a competitor prospecting. So this one would be interesting because we got the you could do I'm just thinking about who we have on the call. Yeah. Okay, so we could do okay. Yeah, so the sources there. So what so competitor you're saying like what are we live on LinkedIn?
We are live on YouTube. Yes.
Not LinkedIn or are we
Not
on
LinkedIn. Not LinkedIn. It's on YouTube. Yeah.
okay.
Why?
Uh I will I'll pause on that one because like most of the data on that one would be on comments on on LinkedIn. So if we could just do one of the other ones because it'll be a little easier just for like, I don't want to go I don't want to go like at the throne there. So why don't we do like a combination of one and two? Like you
Yeah.
upload a list and then you basically get back, like which you know what I mean? Like we'll kind of go, does that sound good? Like you
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
back like
Yeah.
the all right, we'll do that one. So let's see here. Now, all right. So first thing I'm going to do is here, I'll just start doing it. Basically, it might happen fast. Now, I'm not going to like if there's questions, I'm sort of just going to kind of go at the I'm just going to go for it just because I kind of want to just blast through it, but let's just build a okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plan it. I'm going to say build a upload form which in 16 which takes a CSV and uploads it to a Neon database and then it uh, uploads it to the field to the schemas and uses drizzle or and ShadCN components or upload UI. And let me just think here. So I'm going to basically just set up a quick, basically a quick database. And then, and the cool thing is if anybody doxes it, they'll be able to get it later. They'll probably have to go back and watch it. They won't be able to, but it's all good. I might have to switch around a little bit because there's some security things here you have to deal with. But upload UI and it uses hers to get the data into a schema, and then it is a one landing page application which scans it for MX records. Okay, that's the URL, and we find the DNS. And then we go, yes, Google will you we will use DNS over HTTPS there. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting up a lead gen agency source plan. So this is a plan. So this is a good way to start using Cursor. Let's do what is the CSV column? It contains full data CSV, but it picks the email domain out and uses it to check the MX. And it has full lead data out of that on the upload. And then the MX scan should use should fetch the unique domain after the upload and run the DNS over API and come back with the user's response, or the responses to put into the table, which is below. And then I want to do one other thing here. We want to also add the favicon for each domain here and make it a compelling lead magnet where they will and use progress bars, etc. Okay, so now what we're doing, and you'll have to go through this video again in slow-mo, which would be funny if you actually waste your time doing that, but that's fine. So we're going to set up the database here. This is just the database, and then you're going to go here. We're going to do it's an MX scanner app, so we'll scan the DNS. So you're going to upload a CSV, basically. It's the customer, they'll upload the CSV. We're just going to one-shot this thing. And what'll happen is it'll scan the CSV, it'll find out the email domains that you're emailing, and it'll allow you to choose like the ICP based off of that. As you know, like it's harder to get emails through security gateways, of course. So we've got the plans here. So this is the whole plan. This is our application that we're building, right? This would check out. Like if you had a real, if you had a developer or whatever that would tell you this is exactly how you want to build it, right? So what we're going to do, and we're doing this on the fly. Like I wasn't prepped to do this. This was not like there's no, like we didn't talk about this, right? Did we?
We did not.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so I'm just doing like basically the the build out here. So we're gonna build this out. What's gonna happen is, and look, this could break. Like a lot of people say their app breaks. We kind of know what we're doing here. We've done a few of these, so we can figure out pretty quickly what's going to happen. And what's going to happen is now it's going to start to build it. It's going to build the app. It's going to build the uploader. It's going to build the routes and all of that, everything that it needs. So this is just how fast you can actually build today, right? Like it's impressive in terms of like what AI has done for software development. So like I said, when I started building software, I was like doing no code, low code, but now it's easy just to do the code. It's actually easier just to do the code most of the time. So, we're basically giving it an app. What's going to happen is you're going to get an upload screen. We're building the whole code. This is the whole React application that you would want to build. And, even if you hired a developer, they couldn't even type fast enough to beat this process, right? We could have done work stream, meaning you can set up multiple agents here. So if you wanted to set up like one agent here running part of the code, one agent here. The other thing I'm going to do is get initialize, and then I'm going to do that. And you could set up like multiple work streams here. So if you're doing that, now it's going to put it all in here. Now I'm going to also add, yep, so that's what I want. Boom. And then it's going to do that. Okay, so the only reason I didn't do the competitor one just because the best data is on where it is. So I don't want to go through that right now with LI. But yeah, so we've initialized the repo, it's running, and I'll show you what you're going to get here. So you'll see the table start to populate here because it's setting it up. Like I'm talking right now. I could be easily distracted. Like I'm not typing any code, I'm not building any code at all. I'm just one shot of that across the bow there. And we're waiting for it to populate here, but based on where it is, we're going to see, okay, boom, my leads are there, my upload's there, so it's all there now. So now what I'm doing is I'm building the APIs to sort of route the data and then extract the domain names and also have the little logos show up. So basically the goal is to have it so it basically has, like a, where are you going to get basically where I think the concept is merging 1 and 2 together because of ICP, and we'll look at the deliverability part of it. So where would you get the best lift, right? It's obviously going to be inboxes that don't have a security gateway in front of them, like Proofpoint or Mimecast and some of those. Those are the harder ones to get email deliverability on. So we'll be able to scan that for that. So are you following what we're doing right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So what's happening now is building all the pages. We're building all of the code. It's running right now. This lead magnet's happening. Everyone's kind of sitting in suspense here. I know I'm keeping you guys going, but just ignore the, you know, we're building software the new way, right? So um the prompt, what you saw that was pretty much a one prompt right there, right? You saw me. I'm not sitting here typing and coding, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's running for me. So I'm just like, you know, and um, so basically we're starting out with the results table. We're building that. We're building this lead magnet will convert to. I actually built I built one similar to this before, but the I built every lead magnet, I think, for agencies. I built DMARC generator, email test, uh, header analysis, Cloudflare email setup, reverse DNS, PTR lookup, subdomain lookup, blacklist checker, security header checker. I built every lead magnet possible for agencies that run cold email. So right now it's just setting up the system and we're coding, right? Next, we're running this and this is all built in React, so it's very standard. You could find easily a developer to support this after you got the MVP app, which is a much better way. You can also build in Lovable or Bolt or whatever, but I think we'll add AI on top of it at the end of it, just to kind of make it a little bit more prescriptive. Basically, we'll have it analyze the data and then we'll have it look at the data and figure out who you should be emailing, how you should build a list with this data, because there's a strategy to building a list with the domain names, right? It's easier to get a reply from domains that are not hard to get delivery on. So you can kind of evaluate the customers that you're working with to see if it's a good fit or not. So where are we at here? Okay, so basically we've got the layout built, we've got all of the code sort of being built here, got the routes built, database is there, and we're close to launching the first section of the app here. So, okay, perfect. We're ready to launch. Okay, so our first app is here. Okay, now, you know, let's see what we got. Let's put it on the big screen here. What do you think so far?
Great. I mean,
So,
as a former software engineer, this would have taken me weeks to build. Let's just say
yeah.
that.
So we're going to do a couple things before because I already know where it's going to break if I go this route. This is the problem. I mean, I do this, it makes it look a little easy, but it's like, this is pretty easy. It's getting easier. Now, this isn't even the cool part yet. We're not even at the cool, like where this thing pops of like, so what we got to try to figure out on a lead magnet, any good lead magnet, like I'll show you, you know, a good lead magnet to me is it gives you enough to keep you to want to keep going. Like a good example of a lead magnet is this. Wait, New York Times. I did that right? Yeah, New York Times. So let me show you what a good lead magnet is for people, right? Like this is a good one, right? Watch, I'm like in here, I'm running to read. Oh wow, you know that's a good lead magnet, right? So that to me is a good lead magnet, right? So now we're gonna do some games like that, some reindeer games like that. We're basically gonna do a similar sort of test, but basically we built a scanner for MX records for running lead lists. So you can upload your lead list for here, and you can find out like which emails that because in all honesty, you know, we run one of the biggest email validation tools out there today, Lead Magic. One of the biggest, the first check we do on everything is this MX validator. So this is actually the first check of everything. So it really is a good list. If anything doesn't show up here, you're not going to get delivery on it. I guarantee. If your email provider does give you a bad or an email without an MX record, you won't get email. Now, I will tell you there is a database factor there. What you do want to do is you do want to look and see what the real domain is of that company, because sometimes their website isn't their email address. As you know, there's a lot of companies that don't do one-to-one. But I will tell you, if in your right before you send, it's always good to check this out and to check out if it's you know, got a valid MX. That's a big problem if you don't. So that's what we're going to check, and that's what this thing does. And anybody can use it, anybody will see, and we're going to get into the lead part of it, but in a second. But we're just testing it a little bit here. I still haven't made anything else. Like I haven't typed anything else. I mean, you've been watching the screen, right?
Yeah, we have. Jesse, there's some comments in the chat about how you made the UI look so good. I said their prompt was missing, giving it the oolette sizzle, but I'm not sure if you have any other comments there.
Yeah, there was nothing in it that I did. Nothing crazy really. Like there was a couple things I did. Look, I got to keep some of this stuff magic, like, but and it is a little magic here, but there was nothing in there that I did. If you watch this video, what I would do is go watch this video like 10 times, and then you'll figure out what I did. If you go, see, this is the problem with this thing. I knew I'd throw a few people off on this thing. So, I'm not going to tell you what I did, but there was some things I did. You weren't even watching probably when I did it. I kind of surprised everybody there. Now you might be paying attention. I don't know, but maybe you're not. But what we just did there is, okay, so that file didn't have any domains. Let me grab one that does. Let's see, where is this? Okay, I think this one does. No, let me see. Yeah. Okay. So we got to make sure. Okay. Let me just find a file that has emails, just because it's, by the way, I didn't, as you know, I didn't have any, there was no setup for this, as you know. So, let me just get one file that I can trust here. Nope. A lot of my files have no email addresses. Here we go. Okay. I got one here. Just check this one. Okay, perfect. So this email, this does have, there we go. So now I dropped it in. Okay, so this will probably be what you'll run into, and then you may give up. I don't know, but let's find out what happened here. I just basically pasted the error in, right? Like, so, we can, it looks like it's yeah, stricter security requirements for modern browsers. So we probably ran into a little small browser issue, but it's okay. This is what happens when you start building software. You run into a lot of bugs, right? You run into these like little bugs, but if you keep with it, you'll be able to build.
Yeah, I think part of
Okay.
software development is just debugging in general. So this things is just
It is. Now, this one we did something risky because so I'll tell you what we did on this one. We did something very risky on this one. I'll tell you what we did. We incorporated a database, right? So that actually a lot of people would say don't do that live. Now, I'm an idiot. I don't know why I would do that, but let's just take a chance and say we're going to get this done. Now, there could be a performance thing or two here, but basically I did do that. And then I just uploaded a list of like 9,000 there. But basically, go through the endpoint and make sure it works with the Google DNS MX, and it does it concurrently. We can handle we want to test 50 concurrent at a time, and we want to leave a live progress bar with animations on it to check it. So then if I'm running that, it is running one of them here, like this is running it apparently, but we'll, so it is, so what's cool about this is like, it is populating the database, right? So those ones are in there, so I can tell why that one didn't work. But what we're going to do is we're going to fix it so it'll all work. Now that's the good thing. I kind of wanted to leave some suspense here. If you see me do this before, you'll see like it gets a little, you know. Let me just find the right file here because we didn't know coming in what you guys were going to choose. I didn't know what you were going to choose, so I had no real clue on that. So, but it's going to fix that issue right now, and then I'm just trying to find the right file too. Well. Okay, so we'll just take email column here. Let's do this one. Don't convert. Okay, there we go. So this is this will be the CSV file here. So we'll just make a CSV. We'll just make a CSV with all of the records in it. So let's see, don't convert. There we go. So we'll just make one that has just email addresses. So get rid of the blanks. Boom. Okay. So it's still coding, by the way. Like we're still live here. We're just trying to get the other part of the bot. So like if I'm doing something, I'll be working on like six different projects at a like I'll show you some of the stuff that I've been building like myself, just like that stuff that I just like to build. So I just added that here. This is an interesting one because it has pretty much all Gmail on it. But so we got the test one here, close these save ones, and then we can go into here. So this one is let's see. And just to keep so let's just try. Whoop, it doesn't let me copy that one. So I got to reveal it in the Finder. There we go. And then revealed here, then we do it here. Okay, so there's another bug here. Let's just see. Okay, so it's failing on this. So I know where that, if you do this enough, you'll kind of know where these things fail. Fix the pop-up parse, make it greedy and work here locally, and make sure it displays our upload and parses out the domain and look at the test.csv to make sure it can handle a file like this. Okay, so what I'll do is, okay, so we built an API endpoint. So now we've got that. What I've also done on this is I've added what they call like something that communicates with the browser on the back end. So it basically is communicating with the browser basically. So that's kind of nice because what that does is that allows you to get like cool progress bars. So we still have an issue here with the handle upload part of it. Now it's gonna fix that because I've told it to fix that. You probably aren't following totally here, but we fixed that issue here with a couple of things. So it's just like there's a couple of things going on. It wasn't finding the email address. There was possible other names of it. There was a couple other things going on. It wasn't getting the domain name right. It wasn't splitting it. Because remember, when you're managing CSV files, it can be a little bit tricky, right? Like there's a lot of ways that, trust me, I deal with this on support stuff, but there's a lot of different ways that people can upload CSV files. So okay, we just did it. Boom. All right. So now we've got pretty cool, right? So now we've built a lead magnet here. Now, we just processed 2,000. So there's 2 MX records in here I would not send to. So let's see what those are, right? Let's do this. Now let's add one more feature here. So we can add all of the common security gateways and add a column in the table, which says it's a security gateway, then add very clean filters and make sure it has easy to navigate, use components. Okay, so basically we've got in here, right? So what's cool is I even chose the domain. I even took like the domain logos here. So now if you think about it, you're actually giving away value, right? That's the biggest takeaway here is you're giving away value. And what you haven't done is spammed anybody. You haven't done anything like you've created some value. You could send this to people and say, hey, would you like this? What's cool about it is like it's free, right? You can make this for free. This isn't like something you could. So this shows you all, like I just exported that list. This list did not. So hold on, let me show you the list, right? This is the list, this test CSV. This is all of the email addresses in there, right? So if you look at the email addresses, those are the MX records, and then that tells you how many. Okay, so then it sorts it for you and tells you how many that are there, and it lets you export a CSV. Now, if you were doing this, right, if you wanted to basically identify for them, like who would be the better people to email, it would be the people that aren't on security gateways, right? So it would be like Proofpoint, Mimecast, sort of those types of people, right? And you see, I've got the Cymate stuff here, right? So what I would do here is pop-up block some of this stuff, right? So that would be where I would start to like, I probably wouldn't show all the records or I'd kind of do it in a way where they had to provide their email address. Like that's sort of the best way to do it. And then, that would be the next step. So then to do that, I would need to basically build a new schema inside and then I would do, you just grab the URL. So basically I would just take the schema and I would do, let's see. And by the way, that database, like even if somebody did, it's a temporary database. Let's say, so what I would do is I would do grab, uh, add the user model for the sign up or email company, etc., but get it into the database. Okay, and then we're going to do that. So that's a stream going on. There's like another stream. I've already initialized it. And then if I wanted to, what I would do is would create a GitHub, right? So I would just create a GitHub repository that could do this. Now, I really don't know how to code. Like, really, like, I'm not, like, this wouldn't be easy. If I didn't have AI, this would be impossible. So I wouldn't even know what to do. I'm going to make the repository public too, so people can get the code if they want. So the best thing to do too is to add all the git ignore for the EMVs and make sure we don't share secrets across there or anything. So because a lot of email agencies would want this to be able to deploy it for free and iterate on it and use it. So I'm going to give it away for free on the call. And I'm going to give you guys the URL to go download all the code. You can actually just go take the code and put it in your own and change the name if you want, right? So let's go in and get the theme of Cymate and make it similar to our theme, improve it, and make sure we're on point for brand for this project. Use modern. Okay, so there we go. So now we're building it. We've got, there's a lot of streams going there. Probably getting confused. I'm glad if you're confused and good, because you can just go download the code probably later. But so basically what I've just done here is I've got a lead magnet now. Let's try it again. Boom, scans. Look at that. Now we've got filters, has no MX. So the ones you wouldn't want to email would be there. Oh, whoops, we missed a column. We didn't add the email address back into it. Make sure you do that. It's not just domains. It has to be the email address as well. So basically what I had to do is find, like, also I'm getting your theme here, I'm fixing I'm going to get the branding to be more about you guys. So we're changing the brand. We're going to make it even better. MX validator. Let's clear it out here. So then we're going to do that. Okay, perfect. Now it's loaded up. And if I go here and if I run it again, there we go. Here's the file. Scan the MX records. Okay, perfect. Now you're seeing like see how I just rebooted it, but you see how I added the if you look here, you see what I added here? Look, I added this. So this shows the MX has no gateway, has gateway. So now that I've got this, you can then say, I want to look and see who has Google or Microsoft Defender, Proofpoint, So all of that's there. And then you can kind of see all of that and you can filter all that out. And then, but we're going to add the email. But see, this sorted it by leads. So let's allow the user to sort by leads emails or domain, or actually make it about the emails, but allow the reporting using recharts to have the right graphs in it. Okay, so we've now made it. Is this more of your business?
Yeah, purple and blue.
There you go, right? So we're getting closer to it now. I'm not
Closer,
like,
closer, yeah.
yeah, so we're now there. We're getting closer. Now we're here. So if I do this, look at that, scan 44 domains. I mean, this is, by the way, this is not like, this isn't no code, right? Like this is code that's shipping right now. Like I'm giving this code away here. You'll probably have to go through a form to get to it, but unfortunately, that's just the way life is. Sorry. But I like to do that. I like forums. I like to make people sign up for things. It's just more fun that way. But I don't usually email them either. But we do that, and we're basically building out like, for B2B businesses, upload your lead list, instantly verify which emails have valid, stop wasting time this is a level of validation, right? Like there's no question this is a level of validation. We've now used your fonts. Now we've got that, right? We've got to get to, let's go to the last part here. So we got the progress indicator. We've added all of this. We've got two streams going right now, right? Like we got basically two software engineers building the software right now, right? There's not just one, like there's two. So there's one doing this. Now, if I had 6 windows open, then I'd be building an entire SaaS company, right? Like you could build, you could just keep building. You don't even, so like, look how cool that is, right? Doesn't that look cool? Boom. So it's fixing that other problem right now, but that we had, but that's what it's doing right now. And then here, okay, so we're getting close to the end here because we're going to basically try to block. I'm just cleaning up it's just cleaning up the code. It's still going, right? Like this is not. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Feel free to ask them. I haven't been really paying attention that much, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you have any question, feel free to drop in the chat, and because of time, we might have you answered offline. But I do have a question for you, actually. So,
Yeah.
of course, most of the attendees in this course are not software engineers, right? And
Mhm.
a lot of course, I would like to start like a lead gen company and things like that too. And how would you, I guess, like distinguish like what would be like a time waster, or like is it like a tool out there that we can just plug it in or use, or what kind of area should we vibe code, or do you have anything for that?
Everybody has to start somewhere. Everybody, Michael Jordan started dribbling a basketball in some court, right? You got to do something. And I also say there's levels like, so what I would say the level one, if I had to start somewhere right now, I'd probably start in V0. Um, that would be so the starting point I think would be V0. It feels a lot more real than, like, I've used a lot of Lovable, Bolt, Replit. There's 20, 30 of them, but the V0 one just feels a lot cleaner. It feels more like the code is very well designed, and you could really bank on, you know what I mean? Like you could really bank on it, right? So, um, that's what I would say is I would look at the code. I would definitely look at V0, right? Because I think what you're going to find is, here, I'm just trying to find one that has an email addresses. This one doesn't. Okay. This one does. But yeah, so I don't know. Have you tried any of the Lovable or any of the different V0 or anything like that?
Lovable, yeah, I think that's the one that we try.
Okay. Yeah, Lovable's great. I mean, I would say Lovable and V0. So we're already, yeah, so like those are the ones that I would use, but I think every agency could really benefit from this. Here's what it is everyone's like, oh, you can just go build it, but you also, this might only take you like, if you can get an MVP going and then you just hand it off to the developer the rest of the 20%, you're in a different game, right? So like we're doing this. This is like I matched his like brand. Look how cool that looks. Doesn't that look cool? I mean, you guys saw me. I didn't do anything. Like there was no extra code brought in. I didn't do anything here, right? And all like the like you can have it by emails, you can have it by domain. Like it's all here. Here's the domains. It looks like the emails is still building, but if you want to say which ones don't have an MX record, these ones, so you would never want to email these ones. This is the first step in email validation, right? So, we're doing that. Now, if you're talking about ICP, you would just take your ICP and throw that through here and you'd be golden, right? So now you've got ICP. Emails are showing up, right? So, this one I would say, this is like a good way to do it. So this is a lead list. This, by the way, this was a 3,500 email lead list, right? So this says 3,500. That's a pretty big, like that's a pretty good size like CSV to process yourself without like I didn't even this. And by the way, this puts it in a back end right here, right? So, the back end is here. You didn't even see me set up the schema. You didn't see me do anything. The API, not like I was built, it's code though. It's not like fake here, right? Like this is a real lead magnet that you could use. Now, the finishing touch on the lead magnet is once this is done, we're going to then put the like convert. So this is where a lot of developers fail. This is the part usually sales and marketing people are better at. The next part that I'm going to show you which is just, I'm going to basically just show you like, how do you get this to become a lead magnet? Now, you have to think about like human psychology, right? So if I go to this website here and I'm like, wow, I kind of want that information, right? Right. So what people don't love is, I mean, I'll even show my own website, right? They don't like, nobody wants to start a free trial. Boom. They don't want that. Like they want, like, what do they want? They want to get something for free. Everybody wants something for free, whatever. They want to try it, just like anything in life. So the way that you could easily, by the way, I could paywall this and I bet people would pay for it. Like at this point, like it's that, I know that sounds weird, but like it's true. But I think the biggest part of this is like being able to, you could take this and how would you step them through the process? So what's really cool is you have to think about the moment that we're in right here. I would totally let them see this, right? Okay, I've just done it now. Boom. So, right. So we just built, like, unfortunately, this is getting closer to lead magic here, but that's okay. I'm fine with it. But there's some benefit here, and then you're seeing what I see here. This was, by the way, this is 10,000 emails we just scanned. 31, like we just did that. I didn't even type. I was talking to you guys the whole time, and I didn't even type in on that, right? So, um, that is what it is. But let's talk about where you would put the wall. So you'd want to use an auth wall, right? Or like an email capture, right? So then you would say, for marketing purposes, create a schema to capture lead lists, the lead list, the person's email address in the product as it's scanning the file. Let add a schema, check it with people.
Hey Jesse, would hate to cut you off, but could this maybe be like the last comment because we do gotta move on with the top 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go for it. Let's do the top 10. Anyways, I'll give you this and then let me know if you guys have any questions. And we'll get this back.
Yeah. But this is really cool. Like you can honestly like change all the UI and all the back end, everything up front. Like I know you're like super passionate, but I think you added like I think like three different features in one setting. And it's just kind of like it's talking to us too. So this is probably why you're
I
on.
started somewhere too, so it's all good. You'll get there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I will stop sharing here and then close the gate. Perfect.
So this is your secret of being everywhere. You're on WhatsApp, you're on LinkedIn, you're calling me around, and
You
you're
got
still
it.
building a product. This is the secret.
It is. You figured it out. Scalability.
Amazing, amazing.
All right, go for the top 10.
I'm seeing the whole app being built out on a live stream. Cool. Yeah, if you have any question, feel free to drop in the chat. Jesse did give us a grading for the top 10 already. So if you can answer any question in the chat during the session, that would be great. But yeah, thank you for that. Give me a second. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Yeah, you got any other question on Cursor or how Jesse doing his magic? Let him know on the chat. But yeah, so want to kick off the top 10 demo. Super excited for it. And then we got Kellen also gonna drop some knowledge, some of the 2026 GTM playbook right afterward. And then before we announce the top three. But before we go right into the demo, just really want to quick show you like a bit of a recap on what's going on, that kind of stuff. If this is the first time you're watching the live stream. Really quick shout out to all the sponsors that we have making the event possible. Could not have it happen without you guys. So Zapmail, Octave, HeyReach, Outbound Sync, Master Inbox, Mission Inbox, and Lead Magic. All thank you so much for sponsoring this event. By the way, Lead Magic is Jesse's company, so you're gonna see tons of cool gift that Jesse has been like giving us for the event. Really quick, if you're using some of these products, HeyReach, Zapmail, Mission Inbox, are cool enough to give us code IGNITE. So if you are using the product, feel free to plug it in. I'm sure you will save some money from just using this code right here. Before we get started, just to get everybody excited, really quick raffle, reach inbox. So this is everybody who signed up for the event. Let's see who wins. Boom. Always Outreach Boosters. You got a Reach Inbox Pro subscription. So we'll save your contact. We do got another big raffle at the end from Master Inbox. So stick around for the second raffle that we have ongoing in maybe like an hour or so. But yeah, really quick about Ignite. So essentially how the competition format works, where we grab 75, well, we wanted to get 75 go-to-market teams to compete, actually get a little bit over 83 individual submissions. And from there, we essentially handpick the top 10 demos to move forward to the final round. So this is the closing ceremony. So we will be showing the top 10 demo live in a little bit. Quick recap on the prize. First place, $2,500, second place, $1,000, third place, $500, and tons of other League Magic, Reach Inbox, and Master Inbox subscription as well. So tons of great prizes out there. I think we kind of recap the entire giveaway, and in total, we're giving out like $14,000 of just prizes for the attendees. So thank you again, sponsor. Yeah, quick note on the judges. We got Alex from Understory. We got Emil from the Growth DNA. Emil is one of the only Clay studio partner in the Nordics. So shout out to Emil. We got Erickson, one of the very first Clay expert in Manila in the Philippines. Jeff right here in the call with us. She is the Clay Cup winner of 2025. Last but not least, we got Jesse, who just did a crazy demo for us. So yeah, those are the judges that we have going on. I think some of the judges has already give you the score on offline already. So if you don't see them, like sitting around in here today, that means they only give us a score. So just a quick FYI. All right, there we go. Last recap before we move into the demo. The company that everybody was building a go-to-market workflow is called Ambient. If you don't know what they are, they basically like an AI tool that plug into your camera and automatically detect any incidents that might be coming up to report to the security team. Right? TLDR, you can go to the website to check more on the informations. Quick heads up, the top 10 demo that I am showing you today is in no particular order. So essentially our team at Cymate, we got two judges essentially watch all the submissions, and we average the top 10 and we just forward that to all the guest judges to give you guys rating. So in no particular order that we are showing today. But without further ado, let's go right into the first demo. We got Keen Young from Team Wave 10. All right. Second, disclaimer, I might run the demo perhaps 1.2 or like 1.5x just to kind of save us some time. So we're just going to go demo back to back to back to back. And then at the end, we will, sum up all the scores. So judges, please have your score sheet ready. Let's get the show rolling with Keen on our first submission. I'm going to play the video. If you guys cannot hear it, please let me know on the chat.
All right, guys, I'm very excited for my submission for Ignite. My name is Ken from the company Wave 10 in the Netherlands. So imagine you're a security guard. you run a high-level security center, and you have multiple screens, just like this. You're watching that with 10 of your colleagues at 10 different monitors, 24/7 in your control center. Everybody is very tired. Everybody is having a burnout. And you check an alarm. You have to check an alarm. Is it a door? Is it a broken door? Is somebody breaking in my tech center? I don't know, but I have to check. So you look at multiple screens, and suddenly you discover it's a false alarm again. You scream in your head, and this happens daily across multiple sites. And study shows that
Wesley, just a small call out. The audio died. I'll message him. But if you are following along, you can see that Keen did have a very compelling data-driven email. And shout out to all the presentation elements that he put into it for this.
Come here.
I'll also assure people that the judges had the full audio experience when they were reviewing this, Keen. So you're all good there.
for
Sorry, is it still dead or?
Yeah, still dead.
tech, pharma, and manufacturing. I look for
How about now?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. I think I might have to like just move my mouse once every few seconds. So I was gonna go to sleep. All right, let me just rewind a couple seconds. Maybe yeah.
pain points, who suffered this most, and who has a budget. And basically, I was thinking about if you have multiple sites in the US with high intellectual property or high employee count, because that also means like they have hundreds or thousands of cameras across multiple sites. I want to target USA because everything's English and it's easier to get budget for that. And mainly in the sectors, tech, pharma, and manufacturing. I look for employees count where there's more than 500 in USA again, and multiple sites, which is important because if there's only one site, maybe they don't need my cameras that much. Maybe it is net pressing because they need a whole team, right? To a whole security team to look at all of these sites. So what is the problem? It's basically this: the amount of false positive alarms is just too damn high. A lot of the security operators are burnout and descent sites. So that means like you have like these tailgates that might generate the real alert, but 95% of them are just false. So it creates a lot of dangerous blind spots. And then, as Helen Keller said, who is the CEO of this problem? Then you would think it's the director and the VP of security of the sites. They own the security budget, has an operate strategy for security, has to look at the risk of the whole enterprise. And they fear that someday maybe a catastrophic incident might happen. that could have been avoided, but maybe there was a missed alarm, or maybe something wasn't working. If your budget cuts for less staff members, not so concentrated security team, and they're looking for ways of how to get better response for real incidents, and especially like with security systems with a measurable ROI. If you just translate that with the reclaimed labor hours and some false alarm reductions. So if you think in the head of the director of security of these sites, why would they say yes? It's basically because 95% of the hours can be reclaimed. So that means that if 95% of the false positive alarms, and there are 1,000 alarms, and each alarm takes about 2 minutes to watch, then about 8,500 hours is wasted per year per site. This number is also corresponding with the study from this company. And that also means about 380,000 is spent on non-events, just checking on non-events. This number is basically multiplied with 8,500 times the average salary of a security guard in the USA. And of course, you want to be going from reactive to proactive. And using AI, you can also monitor 10 times as big of the area with 10 times less time and stress. And there are also other factors, of course. So like if in the line here with the TikTok and VMware, they achieved 95% false positive reduction using existing security infrastructure, no additional headcount, and no hardware replacement required. So that's a technology improvement, with also some social proof, of course. So based on this, I'm quite intrigued about this. And then I would also just say yes, just have a conversation and then see how can they help. So if you look at this copy again, there are certain variables that can be plugged and calculated. In this case, I will just use clay. And let me show you how this would look like. So in clay, I would have these numbers using these industries, right? And then in the company sector, I would have these normal ones, and I would also use Claygent to ask for how many sites are there, based on different factors, how many headquarters, all in the USA. So this can be all found, of course. I'm not running all of my rows because otherwise I would run my budget down. And let's see. I would also ask how many security guards there are, based on LinkedIn. If I can't find it, then I would just calculate it by using a ratio of 1 to 500 employees, right? So I would always have something in terms of site counts and security guard counts. And then based on this, I can also just calculate the amount of waste hours using a very simple formula. Now, this is what I've mentioned earlier, and with the $45 per hour. And I would also have the amount of full-time employees, basically this number divided by a full-time employee hours. And I would also have this less than half, which is basically saying like this. I'm just like saying if the amount of total FTE divided by security guard counts falls in a certain bracket, then give me a word, and it basically gives you this variable, nearly half of your security. It should have been in yellow. So once I have this, then I can just find the people. So again, I'm just looking in Clay, looking for chief security officer with certain seniority levels. And then based on this, there's a list of people that I can reach out to. I would also look up values from my company's table, and then I would send the variables to Smartlead. I don't have the API of Clay, so I had to work around with the text like this. But I did make a campaign in Smartlead, so it would look something like this already, right? So you have the first name, site counts, total waste hours, waste costs. This should also be a variable. And then would look like this. Well, I haven't said everything yet. But basically, if I have subscription at Clay, I have to fix a little bit, and then this will be ready. So then we can send it to all of these security guards. All right, guys, this was my submission. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm curious. All right, good luck. Bye bye. May the best man win.
There you go. First one. Yeah, judges, you should have access to the score sheet already. Let us know what would you give the first submissions. By the way, just a few note before we move into the second one. So we'll play by ear, and I might, like speed up the videos. I might, slow it down a little bit depending on, like how slow, how fast you guys are speaking. So some video might be, like 1x, 1.2, 1.5. Feel free to drop in the chat if you want to speed up or slow down. I can, control it on the panel. And yeah, just to answer one really quick question. Yes, after the event, we will send everyone, if you submit a score, demo, whether you made it to top 10 or not, we're gonna send like a feedback from our team to you guys. So hang on to it. That will goes out maybe tomorrow or sometime this week. Cool. So Ken, sorry I mispronounced your name earlier. Not keen. Ken, appreciate you for the submissions. And the second submission that we have is Bharat from Team Batman. It's just him, so there's no team. He is the Batman. So, all right, on to his submission.
Hey everyone, let me just quickly share my campaign start.
1 sec, let me just set this up. Theater mode. All right, there you go. It's a little bit blurry, but let me.
Hey everyone, let me just quickly share my campaign strategy for ambient.ai. The way I planned it was like just making it as much data backed as possible because I think the sales cycle is going to be super long and then it's going to be like a lot of trust things involved. So I want to give as much value as possible upfront instead of doing some fancy campaigns. So it just moves the conversation in the right direction, but also it's like valuable for them to use internally. So just to quickly go over the segment and the persona, I'm going after the security directors of K-12 school districts. And just to be specific, it's like districts with 10 plus schools serving more than 5,000 students across the US. Um, and then just to kind of understand their goals a little bit. So this persona is directly involved in basically the camera infrastructure, the security operations, and then the board presentations. So whenever like an incident or an accident happens in the entire city, state, country, whatever, then they have like board scrutinies that just to go over are our schools safe? Is everything being maintained properly, or is the security being maintained properly? And questions like these. So they really want to get on top of that because that's like one of their main jobs to basically be in. And then success for them is like just have like the board ready materials and just be prepared for the questions beforehand before the actual thing ever occurs. So it's like super valuable for them. Um, just for the data part, I was able to, I was basically looking for a lot of government websites to get this data. And then I eventually landed on this site, which I think the best part about this was it let me add filters to the data. So it's like they were like a huge data set, but it let me add on filters. I added like a bunch of filters, like just go over a couple. I wanted to have like only the districts that manage a minimum of 5,000 students. So it's like not too small, but just like above 10 schools or something, which will anyways filter and click. But I just wanted to be a little bit specific here. And sure. So that was pretty much it for the data. And I just wanted to go to the campaign thesis. So the entire angle that I wanted to focus on was like the K-12 schools sure have a lot of school security cameras and basically they have like all the infrastructure possible. But the thing is like they have a lot of security cameras, but there might be a lot of school buildings as well. And one person can basically manage like 8 to 10 security cameras at once without losing their attention and their focus. So it's like if they have like a giant school, that means they might have like a lot of cameras. Then one person cannot basically go through that. And basically, as they keep expanding schools, the head count is basically going to expand linearly, and it's not basically it's not basically the best possible solution. And then the second part is like a lot of the incidents are reported, and then they're basically, of course, all of these are recorded in the cameras, but then they're watched in the recording. But nothing happens when the actual incident is happening. So you can basically like just do something about it, right? So like let's say a fire breaks out, or basically some burglary happens, or something like that happens you can only know after it has happened by watching the security camera versus just doing something about it on that instant. So that's where ambient.ai really helps. And here's like some information about just public data, things like that. So I have like a super simple table about this. So it's like nothing fancy at all. Um, I use this for the data, and then I just found the websites of these districts, and then it's like we have like a couple of data points that this data already has, and I'm just going to use that. So I think the only thing that I found super interesting was the number of schools they have in operation. So I'm just going to use that in the copy. And then I'm just finding active job openings for security directors, chief security, and basically relevant roles and sorting them in descending order, just in case we want to do multi-channel on those. And then I'm just normalizing the company. And then think of it like I'm just creating a Google Doc resource for them to send it out to them. And this is basically like a simple N8N flow that basically clones that for me because I basically wanted to have this template and then just put in their name of their district. Let me just quickly go over that. So it's like all this does is it copies that, edits, it copies the Google Doc and then just changes the name and then sends back to the webhook. The only reason I did in N8N versus doing in the Google Doc integration clay, because I think the markdown was causing some issues with the formatting. So it's like I wasn't able to get this exact formatting, like the center aligned, and then a lot of things were like randomly bold, italic, and things like that. So I just wanted to be like as the fastest and easiest way possible because also it's like 4:30 a.m. right now, so I just wanted to go through that. Um, so yeah, let me just quickly go over what's in the resource. So it's like basically just again just setting up the base of like what's really the issue, why the security camera thing issue actually exists, like how many cameras can a person manage, and then why it doesn't scale linearly, and then it's like what are some other districts doing? What are their best options? Keep the current setup, hire more staff, or then the AI powered monitoring, which is ambient.ai. And then I'm just adding in the case study from Harvard School. And then here are like 5 questions that might ask them. And then it's like, no pressure. Here's the calendar link if you want to basically explore more. So here's like the resource we're sending them. And then here basically the email one. I just have like two email variations because I just have a habit of having one fallback in case I'm having one email for like too much information and a little bit of friction. So the second is like, hey, can I send to things like that, right? So here's the email copy. Basically it's like I work with a lot of job titles like yours. I see you manage this number of schools and then this camera hit count issue. I've prepared something for your board meetings in case these questions just occur up. And here's the doc. And here's the PS line, which is like, we're only sending this if they're hiring for a security related role. If not, then this entire thing as a variable is like just empty and we send nothing. So I think the best way is like just pause this and read this over because yeah, I think that might be simpler. Um, so hence we're just sending this doc as I just showed you over right now. And then the email too is like, I mean, no friction, no links, nothing at all. It's like most security incidents get caught on camera, but they're found after the incident has happened. Um, at number of schools, you probably have number of cameras, and this is calculated by number of schools multiplied by 20, which is like the average across most schools. And then here's like the case study and then here's how we have the case study in Ambient.ai. Can I send some more information about them? And then just the signature. So here was the entire thing. And I think the most valuable part about this was like just all of this context on why this is even helpful, and then just having like this board meeting thing, which I think if you're a security director at a K-12 school district, this should be really helpful to you because I spent a lot of time researching this. So yeah, that is my entire goal. And yeah, thank you so much, Susan.
Cool. All right. So that's the second submission. Ready for the third one? Boom. Shamik, team number three. Man, you don't have a team name. And just before we get started, very fun stat for you because we did get some score from all the top 10 already from some of the judges. Um, if you have a team name, you're more likely to place in the top four. I don't know why. So you kind of messed up there. You didn't have a team there. But let's check out your demo. Shamik, you up next. That wasn't a joke, by the way. That was actual that was the actual statistic. All right, let's get the third one on the road. Always let me know if you need to speed up, slow down, or the volume is not working well for anybody.
That gives good weak these. Hey guys, this is Shamik. So I built this play workflow for ambient AI, and the vertical I chose is large department store chains like Macy's, Nordstrom, Kohl's, and similar retailers. So I picked department stores for a simple reason. They have a lot of locations and a lot of cameras, but their stores still operate like separate islands. So even if they have footage, the hard part is connecting dots across locations fast enough to stop repeat theft. Think of it like this. If a person steals from store A on Monday, and store B on Wednesday, the cameras in both stores might record it, but the stores do not automatically share memory. And by the time someone realizes it is the same pattern or the same offender, it is often weeks later after multiple incidents. So that delay is expensive because the losses keep stacking up across locations, and that is exactly where ambient AI can fit. So the persona I targeted is very specific, basically VPs and directors of loss prevention and asset protection, and some senior asset protection and loss prevention managers. So these are the people who own shrink outcomes, and they are measured on reducing loss, improving investigations, and keeping stores safe. So the big goal of this clay workflow is to cut noise for SGRs and answer a simple question. Is this retailer likely feeling the problem ambient solves? And do we have proof points to start a smart conversation? So I built the workflow around a few grounded signals that.
Sorry, pause for a little bit. Audio going okay? I think I saw a chat.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Anna James, that might just be you then.
Are easy to find and easy to trust. Signal one is job openings in loss prevention and asset protection. This matters because hiring is a real investment. And if a retailer is opening roles in asset protection and loss prevention, it usually means they are actively staffing the problem and there is budget and urgency behind it. It also gives us the language about what they are working on, like investigations, incident reporting, surveillance, exception-based reporting, case management, safety, and organized retail crime. And I'm doing that through an AI column that is reading job descriptions and producing an aggregate summary that we could use later down the workflow as well. In the copywriter or the SDRs or the account executives could read these manually too before reaching out to the right prospect. And signal to is recent web research around theft, shrink, and shoplifting. So I'm using a agent here to do a web research and find out any recent theft incidents or downsizing because of the loss that have been occurred due to the shoplifting and theft and other similar data points. And we'll be giving these data points to our AI copywriter too. And then basically I'm using a find context enrichment to find the VPs and directors from loss prevention and asset protection. And then I'm sending all of this data to our prospects table right here. And in this table, basically, I'm first finding out the work emails using a waterfall. And I also created a column called SGR brief where I have aggregated all the relevant data points that we could feed the AI copywriter or an SGR or an account executive could use as well if they were to cold call or reach out manually. And this basically lays down their name, their job title, and their company details, and the findings from job openings, which I think could be very useful because it tells or basically describes the pain points they could have or they are looking to solve. And then we have this paragraph here that is extracting the information from the web research that we did through the Glacier. So for departments, show loss prevention leaders, the fastest path to a yes is the cross-location repeat theft problem because the cost of shrink is real and the operational work to investigate across many stores is still too manual and too slow. And the economic story is simple. Shrink and theft directly hit profit. If repeat theft patterns are caught earlier, the losses go down. And if investigations and documentation become less manual, asset protection teams get time back and can cover more stores with the same headcount. So the business case is both loss reduction and operational efficiency. And the operational story is also simple. Basically, most teams have cameras, reports, and processes, but connecting incidents across locations is still hard. So we could help them create a connected view so patterns do not get missed until the monthly report. And basically, my offer is designed to make this easy to say yes to. A short pilot at a handful of high risk stores, no big infrastructure changes because Ambient plugs into what they already use. So the goal of the pilot is to show real patterns and real alerts in a short time window so the buyer can evaluate value quickly. And the final output assets are built off this workflow are basically this cold email copy and the SDR read that I've already showed you. And basically, the cold email uses those findings naturally without sounding like generic security spam. So that is the full idea, basically. So I picked up a vertical where the pain is real and measurable and used simple counted signals to prove urgency.
Cool. All right. We're almost halfway through. So that was the third submission for the top 10. Um, it's sorry, we got a question in the chat. What's my skincare routine? So let me tell you, I use this thing called 5-in-1 shampoo. Basically, you just put it on your head, you rub on your face, you rub on your body. We're done. Efficiency. That's my skincare routine. All right. On to the next one. We got a team going on. This is an actual team here. The GTM engineering company. We got George and Anthony. I'm sorry if your name is pronounced Jorge, but George and Anthony. You guys are the fourth submission. Again, this is in no particular order for the top 10. So let me just pull up that stuff. All right, as always, any audio issue or you want to speed it up, slow it down, just let me know on the chat.
This is all right, guys. Not my normal office setup, so bear with me on the lighting and camera situation here. But let's walk through what Jorge and myself built for this Ignite competition. So Jorge is from the GTM engineering company. That's his agency. Anthony Richards here. I am just running a lot of my own clients and consulting fractional work in the GTM space. So we were excited at this project for Ambient, really cool. Everything kicked off for this example project in Stumble. Really great way for us to find companies who are using Lenel and Genentech, which would be those physical security tools that these companies have implemented already. And that's amazing because we know Ambient integrates with those, right? So we focus on the manufacturing industry in this example, and we also wanted these orgs to have 1,000+ employees, just because we know that probably fits better with these deals that Ambient's going to be selling. All right, let's hop into Clay where a lot of this is happening. And I know this is like a little bit of a niche list in terms of like list size, but with these deal sizes and ACVs, I think there's a lot of fruit to be harvested here. So let's hop into Clay. So we brought in all those people or these companies from Stumble that fit the criteria, which is awesome, right? And from there, we were able to check to see that they had the tech. Maybe they had both of those physical security tools in place. Amazing signal, right? The other thing that's really unique here, there's also like a union play here because Ambient plays really well with a lot of unions because they don't typically support facial recognition. They don't want software, analyzing and tracking union members' faces who work at these manufacturing companies. And so that's where I think we got really unique here. We did a union people search. So if we open that up, we just wanted to see, hey, was there a job title with the keyword union, which is really cool. So that indicates, right, these companies are probably a union workforce. And so that allowed us to then get all of these potentially union companies, right, to be used as our targeting. And so then that allowed us to do some cool stuff as well. So with some collegiate work, we were able to go and make these prompts, right? And I don't know if you guys want me to walk through all this, but I can just scroll through it. So this prompt was allowing us, right, to figure out, if there were any known injury reports, OSHA violations, things of that nature. And then this was later used also in the context engine on our Octave agent as we were doing generative email, which is really sweet. And I'll show you how that comes to life in bigger. But yeah, very extensive prompt. Happy to share that as well. It's helpful as you guys review the competition. Then we did, since we don't know their customers, we gathered as many as we could just to do like a kind of like a pseudo DNC check, right? That we don't want to, in the real world, we don't want to hit up current customers or people that are in deal stages, things like that. So in this example, we just referenced the LinkedIn profiles and the domain names over on this ambient DNC list. So these would be like current customers that we were able to find, right? And then just a checkbox with that quick formula, just verifying like, hey, they passed the DNC check. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the people table. Now in this example, like I'm only showing 10 just on a row limit, just so we didn't like burn a ton of credits here. But in the people search, let's pull that up. So that was just a lot of those super tight ICP fit titles that we wanted to go after. So GSOCs, the CSOs, the security ops managers, the VPDHS, et cetera. Just targeted US for now, kept it tight. And yeah, that's where we got the people. And then on that people search, that was only the companies who fit the union check. So we assumed they were at the union based on that union people search. And then that's where we went and pulled from that list of potential union companies to get all of these security titled folks. So let's walk through the rest of this people table real quick. Standard stuff, got some good data here. Now we also pass through that collegiate security signal search that we have running in the super long prompt I showed you. Also normalizing company names, first names. We obviously want names to be really clean. We're doing outreach, also feeding those names to other pools. Then we did a work email waterfall just to go and snag some work emails. So obviously, like we do some conditional formulas down the line, right? Like if we couldn't find a work email, obviously don't generate emails for that person. We're not going to send those. And then this is where stuff gets really cool. So we're using Octave, shout out Octave, one of the sponsors. Big fan of Octave for multiple reasons, but in this example, we did the qualified company agent, and then that also has like a ton of its like reasoning and rationale and what it's referencing. So that's always cool. Like if you want to see, why someone scored high, why they scored low, then we qualify that individual person, like how well do they fit what we're doing. I'm also happy to jump over in and like just show you guys quickly the ambient instance here we spun up in Octave. So really cool. Tons of elements. We have all of our personas that are like really built out in detail if you open those up. And then a lot of these use cases where it'd be super applicable to these manufacturing companies, we plug those in. And we plug in a lot of these reference customers that would be good to name drop in messaging. And then a lot of these proof points here as well. And then we can touch on, I'll come back to the clay table. So we use Octave for generative emails. I think that's really powerful in today's landscape with all the ESPs cracking down like template sends and cold email senders that we really want to get deliverability here. And so this is where the secret agent becomes really powerful. So these are all generative emails for those of you who have not used Octave. It's super powerful. What we're able to do, right, we pass over all the stuff like the LinkedIn profile, the first name, the job title, the domains, all that stuff. Then we're also giving it some runtime context, which is where it gets even more powerful because we're able to reference some of this other data in our clay tables, right? Like we know that they are using integrated business security solutions. Here's some research we did, right? Like that's where the that super well played your prompt comes into play. And we're also telling you, hey, don't feel pressure to use that, right? Like only use it if it makes sense for this ambient AI email copy. And then if it helps in anything, this is the company description. Right, so we're giving a lot of this runtime context, which is going to make that amazing. And then we just pop it in like Chase was one example I referenced in our submission Google Doc. So subject line, reducing false alarms for security teams, email one, and I'll let you guys read through all this, but this is with minimal agent training, like we just spun a lot of this up pretty quickly because we're both pretty slammed this weekend. But I think like where this stuff gets even more powerful, like you can test some of this out of the box copy right in the wild. And if you don't start to get the results you want, that's where you can start fine tuning Octave. And that's where stuff gets even crazier. I think like you can provide the custom CTAs, give it training examples on like email, like actual email examples and like formatted copy and how you would want stuff to come out in the wild. I think like out of the box is pretty powerful here. And then I think it's important as a GTM manager to just iterate and continue prompting as you start to get some like real world feedback. So that's just my note there on Octave.
Hello everyone, Jorge Macias here. I want to continue off where Anthony left. Basically, for the rest of the workflow, so we wrote the copy using Octave and all the context that he explained. We also provided an outreach through LinkedIn that was way less salesy and way less personalized. Since with LinkedIn, we want to be short and straight to the point, we sent like a 3-message outreach where we basically invited them to help us build the future of the product and in that way kind of get a chance to get them in front of what we do. We also, for some bonus points, we created some call preparation notes for the AE using Octave as well. I want to go through the final document deliverable that we worked on for these projects. So here's a link to the clay table. I'm happy to download like the first 10 rows for each of the sheets, just so you guys have as an example. Here is how we build the list. As Anthony mentioned, using Somo for most of the thing and Clay for the rest. Here is the explanation of how we divided segments. For the do not contact list, we also checked for not only for clients, both the available information about clients, but we also checked for competitors and partners. Here's the summary of the different personas that we reached out to and what they own, what they fear, and what the success looks like for them. Everything's explained into detail. Here's like our campaign thesis. We're basically reaching out to unionized manufacturing companies that integrate into the main tools for security, and we are going to use through email a campaign where we're referencing a lot of their OSHA incidents, information, publicly available information, and through LinkedIn, we're going to add them to source of advisory board. For the supporting points, we have the economic story, the operational story, the risk compliance story, the union angle that we're going to build into this, and also the incident stories that we're going to build inside the copy. Since we're going to do multi-channel, we're going to start visiting their profile, then sending an invitation. If they accept the invitation, we send a few messages. If not, we go through an email workflow. We're going to end it up with a call, assuming there's an SDR in here. For the asset, we're going to include an idea for a cold email. We have one in here, but just take into consideration that each email is going to be written specifically for each time. So they're all going to have different templates, different types of information, which is good for deliverability. We have an example of 3 emails. I included all the information that we fed into Octave to build that email. So as you can see, it's a lot. So we also included a LinkedIn copy, and we also included the call prep document for the AE, assuming we're going to land a bunch of calls with this campaign. So I hope this is helpful. I'm going to include a link to this video in the comments, but also feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Take care. Go to Market Engineering out.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, Jorge and Anthony. So that's team number 4, and we're just closing in on halfway mark here. We're right on time. The next submission is a little drum roll. We got Sandra from the Automate B2B. Again, team name means guarantee top 5. I'm just kidding. But yes, this is Sandra. By the way, before we kick off the next demo, we do got representations from pretty much all over the world. So super excited to see a bunch of submission in the top 10. So across the globe, we got representation from Europe, from the Americas, from Africa, from Asia, from everywhere. So super excited to see. But yeah, that's just some fun fact. But without further ado, let's go right into Sandra's demo. Hold on, it's loading. Oh, let me see. Might run into some technical difficulty with the submission. I'm trying on the browser.
A solo editor. Hi everyone, my name is Sandra Ochi and I am a solo competitor at Ignite.
You're right. This fancy screen tutor might take a second. All right. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit, and then yeah, as always, let me know if the audio is good or if you want to speed up, slow down, whatever it might be.
My name is Sandra Ochi and I am a solo competitor at Ignite competition held by Cymate in 2025, and this is a demo of my build and just me explain my thought process and my why behind the segment I choose to do. So the first thing I did when the company we're bidding for was done was I went to Ambient AI website to kind of manually do my research and get sold by the company. So I went through their use cases, the product. They had a YouTube video. I don't know where I went to. A YouTube video where they were working on like explaining the Ambient AI in real time and giving me like full context. So I had to go to YouTube to watch that video like 30 minutes, and I was completely sold by Ambient AI, Pulsar products, and understand what VLM is and kind of like understand the context of what they do and why they do what they do. So that was like it gave me a lot of foundation to foundation and like says morale to love the company and also want to build a GTM motion for them. Now, why I choose I after that I did deep research. I used Jordan Crawford's prompting to get ICP by persona, target segments. So just kind of like do a deep research level when it comes to industry wise. I'm going to add link to all of this so you guys need to go through all of this in detail. And yeah, so why I choose education as my ideal target segment is because, of course, children are the most vulnerable demographic in the world, and I believe everybody should feel safe in school. So this was something I was emotionally connected to, and I decided to like do a bit on it. And also because of the news. I don't live in the USA, I live in Nigeria, but I watch the news, and whenever I see school shootings, it gets to me. So yeah, so that is my why actually. However, I'm just going to go through, and also because I think education has like 50 to 20% of adding with AI market share of the ICP. So you go to the ICP doc, education was the second after software companies. So education was the second. So meaning they have like a large base to cover and large time to cover in education, yes. So I did like I had like 5 different ideas for ambient, but I only did 2 because of time. So I'm just going to go through the 2 I did. So for this decision focus builds, I just did like a people search ideal titles that prove that these people are personas that ambient AI sell to. So you can see here, if you run through this, sorry, the job titles were head of school, all of these, director of security, and service manager, facility director, and all of that. But we niche down to over, I think, let's say, we niche down to qualified to just 8 persons. So I'm just going to maybe go through this table instead. And Go to the main table. So for this build, I did people research to find people that are in the ideal ICP titles that are decision makers for schools that benefit from Ambiance and BOSA product. And I had to do an account level qualification first. So I qualified the school to be sure, okay, are these people working in schools? So let's forget the title to be sure they are working in schools. Since education is a segment I am going for. So I did all of that. I'm just going to show what the prompting looks like. This is what the prompt looks like. And I did that, and I did an AI formula to highlight just schools. So if it comes up as disqualified, we are removing those guys. They're not reaching out to, reaching out to. Then I enrich the qualified company just to get like the company ties, the industry, and company description and all those data I would need for further company qualification. So after I did that, so because I had done a lot of brainstorming to cloud, I was able to do let's say get into what qualification metrics to do for the account level. So I did a school enrollment qualification because the Hacker School, which is a current customer for Ambient AI, has over, I think, 1,500 to 2,000 students that enrolled. So that was like a metrics I needed to use when it comes to qualifying these companies. So I will just show what this looks like. So yeah. So yeah, you can see I got the enrollment notes, the school name, sales data, confidence, enrollment number, and after that I had to find some companies that were not having domain. So this was what I did for Takodo. And after that, I did an AI formula to ensure I have a qualification tab for only companies that are qualified when it comes to enrollment. I have like above. I'm just going to show what the enrollment range looks like. So sorry guys. So yeah. So yeah, there's no content qualified because no one's supposed to open. Okay. Yeah, so acceptable range is between 800 to 2,500 students, and that's the ideal. Acceptable is 500, so you can manage that. So a stretch is above 2,500, 3,500, that's like the still cycle is going to be longer and it's more complex. So disqualified anything below 3,500 students is not an ICP and we should not reaching out to those schools. So I also did an annotation to understand, to get a budget level kind of qualification. So if these schools have this annotation fee, meaning they can afford to patronize or to buy from Ambient AI, so that was the angle I was going with the qualification metrics. And also I campus complexity. So because if the school has more buildings and more campuses, it means they are likely to be interested in Ambient AI product or software. So yeah, the number of campuses, estimated number of buildings, and it shows that they're ideal. And after that, I had to qualify person level qualification. We had to be sure that these people were in security decision-making titles. So you can see here we had a lot of no for head of school because head of school doesn't really make decision when it comes to security level stuff in the institution. Then I did work email for only people who were qualified by job title. I enriched people who were qualified and had just had work email. And after that, I didn't want to use this as my presentation, but I ended up using it, even this as well. And security camera. I wanted to find out how many cameras they had in the school, but this was going to be a really dicey angle because AI can hallucinate and give me a false result. So I just left it and I didn't use it. I normalized the first name and I normalized I created the email in cloud. So this email I created in cloud, I'm just going to show what it looks like. Let me go to the client's view, sorry. So we can have a clean, I have to wrap this up because this is already getting really long. Client's view, yeah. So this is the subject line. Subject line is weird. I have to change this. So that's on me. But this is what the email should look like. Hi, Richard, so similar to that. This is what the email should look like. So I use this for email one follow-up. I wanted to find how many weekly transactions they have when it comes to how many cameras they have to watch per week and how many percentage of false alarms they get per week as well. So this is what this is email 2. And this is the email 1 follow-up. The one that I used the calculation metrics. The team cleared the false alarms last week. And email 2 follow-up. I just want to go through the second build. So the second build I tilted towards open jobs build. So companies are hiring security personnel. So because I did trigger and they see now that these companies would need Ambiance.ai services when it comes to scaling and seeing the importance of what Ambiance AI does when it comes to physical security. So I got that data, I had to narrow down. You can see I did filtering. I removed job titles that had that were non-ICP, like finance, engineering, industrial operations, and all of that. And also, after I did that, I found domain for companies that did not have domain and checked if it is valid and merged the domains in one column. So the same company qualification I did for the previous table, I just used that as a template because it works well, just perfect. If you can see here, after I did the school type, so I script zeros to get the job in the script is to get more context about the job and which companies that were schools and got employment counts. Also, so after what made me realize that my qualification was really perfect was after the entire qualification, after checking their schools, checking how many campuses they had, and their tuition fee and their element numbers. At the end of the day, it showed that these companies were ideal and acceptable for me to reach out when it comes to outreach for ambient AI. And yeah, so for this, I did a job summary to kind of get a personalized angle for this build. And this is the people table. I found people, decision makers in these schools that were hiring security. And after that, I qualified the decision maker. You can see here we have the response, director of security, of course, and his title aligns with qualification with primary secretary and tax responsible for managing security operations, technology implementation, and budget management. Perfect. And I found work email and qualified only people that had work email. And I use this as templated prompt. I use it to find like personalization angles for the contact for decision makers. And I did a lookup to get some data from the previous table into this table. And yes, this is what the email looks like. Email prompt looks like. I used Anthropic to get email. I added some document context that I had created to just give AI more context when it comes to personal emails. So this is what it looks like. Okay, finally, before I end this video, because it's already looking really long, I had some shooting news table. I didn't want to use it because I feel like it was really insensitive to send campaigns to schools that had new shootings. I mean, it's a good trigger, but at what cost, to be honest. So yeah, just like that. So I script some. So these are like funding for the schools that had funding for security, like states in the US that had funding. So yeah, to those times to go through this. So what the data is here, I also create schools that were NAIS, what's the word? I said NAIS directories, so independent schools, because the hacker schools and independent schools, I did this and I script this list. So the goal was this, to go for this build is to like test different angles and then scale whatever angle works and whatever angle gives the best results. Because I feel testing is very, very important when it comes to outreach and outbound. So when you are testing, I believe testing like things that actually matter. So testing different angles. I'm testing companies hiring job opening. I'm testing companies that already have these ideal titles that we want to sell to, and also let's say schools or states that have funding. So I think this is like the solid GTM motion that I have built for Ambient, and I really have fun doing it. Thank you.
Amazing. So that was Sandra, a fifth submission for Ignite. All right, let's keep the ball rolling. Next one, we're halfway there. Subin from Team Metis. This is his submission. Let me brag a little bit on his behalf, but he Vive coded an entire website for the competition. Um, Unfortunately, or fortunately for the other competitors, we did not take this into consideration when we give him the score, but let's check out his video. But this is a very, very fancy UI just for the submission. All right, give me a second.
How long?
Start from the beginning, theater mode. Cool. As always, let me know how the audio and the video sound like if you guys have any issue.
Hello, I'm Subin. Thanks for this opportunity. This is a GTM strategy for ambient AI. Now, this isn't a theoretical framework. It's an actual working system with real code, real data, and some real automating. Now, we're going to be targeting Texas school districts for ambient AI. Why this part exactly? Why not something else? Because there are three things that are converging at the same point, at the same time, making it a perfect moment to target the K-12 security market. One is the NSA's law, which mandates that districts legally need panic alert systems. The other one is anti-poach incident in January. What happened was that AI cameras failed. Now, this proves that the market needs behavioral detection and not just weapon recognition.
Besides the things that I've written here about the competitive gap, competitors, there are some competitors called like Evolve, EVOLV, who are actually getting sued for false claims. Now, the trust gap Ambient can fill is big here. Now, coming to the strategy, what is this? My ICP is the Texas districts with 10,000 to 50,000 students. Why? Because it's big enough to have the budget and small enough to move fast. That's 98 points, 98 districts right there. I'm skipping out anybody less than 10, more than 50K, long cycles, don't need it. The target personas are superintendent and director of safety. What I'm also using is dual threat strategy. That is, if both the superintendent and the director of safety exist for a district, I email them both and using two different kinds of emails, two different strategies for them. Now, the 14-step automated pipeline that I have built, we have already covered phase one, which is the strategy and the research. Feel free to go through the whole thing. Second comes the data collection and enrichment. Here, I have scraped all the Texas districts domains. You can look at the code, it works. You can download the data if you want. Then I'm going to put the domains into Clay. I'm going to find the proper personas. Again, you can look at the code it runs. You can download the data if you want. The Clay samples is the one. Also, you have the real rich leads too. Feel free to play around with it. I get the LinkedIn leads, LinkedIn profiles, and I get the email ID from there. And then I score basically 15 for the safety, if 15 if you are a safety director, plus 12 if there was any recent incidents in your district, plus 10 if you're a new superintendent because you're open to new vendors, and plus 8 for past bonds, meaning plus 8 if the district has gotten new money which they can spend on the new security. The last thing to tie this all up is Postgres. All the data that we have collected, everything we have enriched ends up in Postgres. Why? I don't want to use multiple Google Sheets. I don't want to do that. This will be the single source of truth. And I'll tell you where it's going to be used. Phase number 3, automated outreach. I'm going to push all the data that I've collected to Instantly AI. In this demo, I'm using Instantly. You can either use the API or you can upload the data yourself. That's fine. Then I'm going to make spindex variations of the emails that we have set. So the spindex variations would look like this. Initial outreach, as you can see. It's pretty nice. The variations look pretty nice. So this is for the safety director, right? And this is for the superintendents. Now, if you noticed, I have made 3 email sequences. One is initial, one is a follow-up, and one is a breakdown. Feel free to download this Spintex email variations to check it out. Feel free to look at the config of how I'm checking this. Then comes the phase 4, which is the automation and the optimization. The N8 and webhooks comes into action here. So what this does, this is where it gets really interesting. I wish I could explain the whole thing, but I do not have the time. Any action done instantly is being monitored by us, right? And so if a person replies, we will check if it's a good reply, then it comes to if it's a hot lead, then we get a Slack automation. If it's a neutral reply, we get a Slack automation. If it's out of office, we don't care about it. We are not going to do a Slack alert on it. We're just going to record all of this inside our Postgres. Why? Why are we going to record this? For the next part, the Metabase dashboard. Now, this is open source, and what we're going to do is we're going to have real-time live campaign performance, open rates, how many, who sent. We can even track how long a rep took to reply. We can even check if a person was closed, what were the things that followed? Like, I have no time left, I'm sorry. Then we iterate.
So that is Subin. Unfortunately, I can tell he got a free Loom subscription, and Loom limits to just 5 minutes maximum. Crazy workflow regardless. I won't say anything further because I don't want to influence the other judges. But yeah, let's get the ball rolling and go right into the next duo. I would say you guys messed up. You guys don't have a team name. We kind of talked about it. You know, when you have a team name, you're more likely to grade higher. But we got. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your name, but we got Jericho and we got Utkus on the house. So let's check out what these guys have been cooking.
Hey guys, Utkarsh, and this is Jericho, and thank you so much for first of all hosting this Ignite competition. I'm really happy and excited for it. And this is our GM for MBN submission. Now we went to MBN's website, we did some research, and this is our initial research document. Then it contains a lot of things like emote profiling, wants, aspiration, needs, fears, frustration, like what MBN does. It contains everything. Then whatever we like, we take it out in a different dash sheet, and we take this as the knowledge base to create a whole email campaign. With this is the email copy
that we wrote. So in the pink is the variables we are going to be enriching in Clay, and the blue is the syntax, so that our emails have a slight variation in pattern, and it is not flagged by the name source. Like hi, hello. This is also known as syntax. So, hey, hi, hello. The first name. Then in email one we have a second line about an incident. Then this is the third line, fourth, where we are mentioning a team member, then a CDA with a case study PS. Then we are only sending email to like a basic hi first name, a second line I want CCTV partner, and then a normal CDA with signatures. That's it. We are only sending 2 emails. Now, this is what it looked like in Smarty. So, like here, but I was reading an article about the August 29th bank robbery at PNC Bank in New York, one that if early alerts for suspicious behavior could have helped. So what we're doing is we are research into the recent incident that occurred near this bank we are reaching out to, and how those incidents could have been helped or at least prevented by using ambient services. And then there is the third line. You can pause and for the CA again. This is the fourth line. Hey, plugs into your system and helps team members like Taylor and Teresa keep security tight, the CDA, the PS line. And then the email too is hi, hey, not sure if you're currently using this. So we're not sure. We're not assuming that you're using this, but I'm just saying, hey, I'm not sure if you're using this. But you can still integrate it with our AI to monitor so and so and so. This is the features of ambient, and this is based on the account we're reaching out to. All right. Now let's go to Clay and see how we did it. First of all, we found people from US. Again, these are the titles we're reaching out to. Basically, these are I'll just show you. These are same titles that was mentioned in the presentation of Ignite. On this file, I'm finding VP, AVP, SVP, directors, head, presidents of security, risk, legal, third, environment, health, and safety. The reason why I do this way is sometimes what I've noticed is if you write all of the possible variations of president of a department, like president, environment, or whatever, then Clay and Apollo give most of the leads. Like this is how you can maximize your lead input. That's why we do it. Then we did banking, because banking is one of those industries that is heavily reliant on cameras and security 24/7, and the headcount is minimum 200 people to 10,000 people as per the company LinkedIn employee. Then we imported all of them. We had the company in the company table. In the company table, we are first of all normalizing the company name. Then we are finding missing websites. I can show you this. Then we are finding missing LinkedIn profiles. Then we are doing a lookup from company table to contact table, and then we are importing a list of all of the people we have in the contact table and the location of those people in the list. The reason why we do this is that when we were building the list, we noticed like these people, they are from US, but they are from different cities or different states. And in order to do research, we needed to find an address that needs to be nearest, or at least to be near to all of the people we're reaching out to. So this AI does that. It goes to the location and then figures out, okay, which location is the nearest one to the location of the people we're reaching out to. So if you see this location of the people we're reaching out to, so if you notice Charlotte, it's going to be most prominent. Like it contains a lot of Charlotte. So AI determined like, hey, Charlotte is most representative. Charlotte is also the location which is nearest to other locations, right? And then we find out another address which is near to all of these locations. So this AI is basically doing this address 1 and address 2. This is first address, second address. Both of them are near to all the locations of these people. Then city 1 is the city of the first address, then city 2 is the city of second address. Now, what we're doing is, so we are trying to find out people which are working under the departments of the people we're reaching out to in the first address, because this address is the nearest one to the people. And then we are doing this the same thing for second address. So if you see the filters, we are finding out people in this department, and we are excluding president, chief, head, director, curriculum, EMI. And the location is city 1, right? Same with this. These are the same filters. Then we are doing city 2. And if you don't find anything, then we just do a general United States. And this merge column contains all of the people with their titles. So this is full name, this is title, right? Now, sometimes what we noticed was, hey, we are also getting leaders who are which we are reaching out to. So this AI basically checks whether the people we are going to mention in the emails are not the people we are reaching out to. So we don't want to say, hey, John, this tool can help your team member John in doing so and so. We don't want that. So that is what this AI is doing. So if you see, even though we have two names, Jamie and Vivian, it's only writing Jamie, and then it's writing a phrase like team members like Jamie, etc. Also, this is I do it in formulas, because if you notice the email one line is a phrase here. Team member like this, and if you don't have any team member mentioned, it means just basically write it plus into your system and helps your team keep security tight and no extra hardware needed. Let me show you. So if you see, it integrates into your system and supports your team keep security strong and no extra hardware needed. So that's why we have it in a phrase. Then we initially thought to find out any recent robberies or events that could have been prevented with good CCTV security for the bank reaching out to. So if you're reaching out to, let's say, like this hostage situation at Bank of Georgia. So we are reaching out to Bank of Georgia, and we wanted to write a line saying, hey, is there what is happening in your bank and could have been prevented with so and so cameras. We even have that right here. So if you see, this was the initial email we were about to write, but then me and Jericho thought, we shouldn't be hurting someone's ego, and then we switched the line. So then what we did was we tried to find out security fails at other banks in the address. So this is any other bank having any robbery or something, and then we're writing this second line about like, hey, I was reading an article about so and so. So this is the AI that does that. Okay. In case we don't have any articles, right? Then we're just saying a fallback line saying, hey, I was going through articles about bank robberies and was curious on how you prepare for that. Then we wanted to find out what security provider this bank uses. We couldn't do Bridgeway because Bridgeway checks websites and CCTVs are not on websites for sure. So what we did was we tried to find out if there are articles circulating online about companies saying, hey, we help so and so bank with the CCTV and everything. So this column basically checks any articles that mention this company is using a certain CCTV company or security company. But we can't be sure if they're using it, right? So this AI basically checks everything and then says, hey, not sure if you're currently using a provider for CCTV. We are saying not sure because we don't want to be saying, hey, I know you're using X, Y, and Z for CCTV. We don't want to say that. We want to still be polite and do not raise questions, because if you say, hey, not sure if you're using this, the other person can say, no, we're not using this. So we want to make sure of that. And then we basically say, hey, not sure if you're using this, but you can integrate it with our AI to analyze live footage and prevent incidents before they happen, right? Let's say we don't have any articles about any CCTV companies partnering with this bank. So we just simply say, hey, you can integrate our AI with any type of CCTV cameras you use to so and so. And if you see, this is all these print tags in Clay, so that when we push this as a variable in Clay, we don't need to print tags there. It is not a static line. Each line you see is print tags. So you can connect cameras you can use. Like if you go through it, if you pause it, you'll see that there are slight variations into it. Even for this, this has a slight print tags in Clay already, so that you don't need to print tags it in Spot. That's how the company enrichment is going. So first of all, normalize the company name, find missing websites, find missing Blender profiles, report the people name and location you're reaching out to, find out an address which is closest to every people you're reaching out to, then find out team members of the people you're reaching out to. Then with AI cross-check, you shouldn't be saying, hey John, your team member John can benefit from us. You don't want to say that. So this AI does that. Then find out any security failures or robberies that could have been prevented with CCTVs. And just to show, if you see this AI tells you like, hey, specifically concerning security failures related to CCTV cameras are not provided available information. Okay. And then this AI line is the second line for first email, which is already sprint tags in Clay. Then we try to find out a security provider. There's any article that mentions the security provider or CCTV provider of this company. If they do, then we say, hey, not sure if you're using this. So just to be safe. Then we are writing a line which is also sprint tags. And if we don't have any data, we have a fallback line for it. Then we import everything into the people table by doing a lookup. So this is for normalized name, final website, LinkedIn profile. This is the second line. This is the second name. This is the team member phrase. And then this is our own custom email waterfall. You can see it is at period. So we store all of our emails into Superbase, and then we do a lookup in our internal database to see if we have this person's email. So if you see we have this person's email. Also, we have a rule: if the domain of the email is not the domain that we're looking for, then Superbase won't be writing. So that's one rule that we have. I can't show it to you, but that's one rule that we have. And then we verify our Superbase first. If we don't find anything, then we find any Apollo email or any CSV email we have. If we don't have that, then we use Prospeo, ICP, Sleep Magic. We use Sleep Magic at the end because we are also using it for mobile numbers and we want to save credits. That's why we are using Sleep Magic at the end, because the best should be at last. And then we also use Million Verify to verify all of our emails. Then use Bounce Back to verify catch-all emails. Then once the emails are verified, we use Email Guard to find out their ESP, and then we split our emails into Outlook and non-Outlook emails, because Outlook has a different deliverability issues, and we see our results go down with it. So we just split the Outlook and non-Outlook emails, and then we also upload everything back to our Superbase. So if you see Smartly, it's automatically sending one to Outlook, one to non-Outlook. So if you go back, you will see this is non-Outlook because it's others. This is Outlook, and this is the final version of the email. So we didn't find any article about bank robbery, so we just wrote this all back. This is the email too. Let's go. So again, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to participate in the competition, and I hope we at least pass the first round. Cheers.
It's a good news. You did pass the first round, so congratulations. Let's go. By the way, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we might running a little bit late on the last three demos. But we got Callan in the house, and he will be giving you guys some of the 2026 playbook that he got prepared. So yeah, stick around for the entire event, and yeah, let's go right into the last three demo. Actually, seeing very interesting scores.
So
Hey, they have going on. All right, so. Spoiler alert, but we got Rahul Sharma with the submission. You are team number 8, so let's get the ball rolling.
I'm Rahul, and this is the table that I built for Ambient. And I won't take much time, so I will just quickly explain the flow I'm using right now. So first off, for this project, I'm targeting universities and colleges. To find leads, I'm using Anytime, Server, and Apollo. Then I'm sending emails using Smartly, and I'll walk you through how everything fits together. And I know Ambient, serves all over the US. So the first thing I did was, handle the geography properly. And I downloaded a free CSV of all US cities, city, state, and country. And inside this table, I merged them into a single cell. So if you see here, so instead of separate columns, now I have values like New York, United States, Los Angeles, California, United States. So this makes it really easy to scale later without touching the workflow. So from here, I'm creating 2 base keywords. which are college and universities, and sending those along with location into another table that triggers the editor workflow. So here is my another table. This is my another table, and I'm using this anything HTTP API with a post method, and this workflow receives a webhook, does some processing in JavaScript, and then sends the response back to Clay. And on that backend, it's basically running structured Google searches using server. So for any location, like let's say New York or California, wherever, I get a list of colleges and universities, and those get written into my company's table. So here are the list of universities that I get from these each locality, and this gets to the company's table. So in the company's table, I've built a small workflow, and first I find the website for any university or college where it's missing, and then I normalize the website URL using using Clay's auto and normalize URL feature, so we don't get any duplicates. And after that, I run a company qualification prompt, and this prompt basically checks something very simple, like does this organization actually have a physical campus where CCTV cameras could exist? So if it's online only university or just an online program, it gets disqualified here. So this steps basically cleans things early on. And once the companies are qualified, I move to the finding process of finding the peoples, and I'm using two methods here: Clay's native people, Clayjet, and the second one is Apollo contacts. Like you could have more resources like Outscraper or other, but right now I'm just using Clay and Apollo to find people. And I've given very specific job titles in my prospect generation prompt, roles related to campus safety and physical security only. And all the people I find get sent into another table that is Claygen people and Apollo contacts. So inside the Claygen people table, I do more filtering with this prompt. You can actually see these all prompts when I will share the template with you guys. So, I basically segment job titles again and, remove titles that we don't want, like let's say president and or other non-ICP roles. And for emails, I'm using lead magic to find work emails. And if it's a catch-all, I run it through bounce back. And even if we, still don't, have an email, I use a Clay AI prompt as a, fallback to find one and validate it again. Again, you can see this. And I usually do it. And, I also store the final image from so later, if we want, then we can send it in by Google or Microsoft inboxes if we in the future. And there's one simple personalization that I'm running here. So this agent looks specifically at what the person has done related to security or campus safety, real things like reports, incidents of or public actions. Based on that, I'm generating a subject in PS line. And if there is nothing real to personalize, I use a clean fallback, like took a look at how your campus handles day-to-day safety, thought I would reach out. So, before sending, I do one last cleanup. And, if we find contacts with Claygen, I finalize the first name because, sometimes Clay returns things like info or website name. And I clean the company name. So, and in here, I'm also, cleaning the company name so that, we don't use the actual company name that may includes INC or, limited. And here also, even if we, like I'm seeing right now, like, some cells some rows are still empty. So here, if we want, then, we can also create another prompt to find, website emails, and, we can send emails to the website emails if we want to, if our, list is very small or something. And then, sending this to the Smart Lead campaign. And this is how the copy looks like after doing everything. So it's like, the subject line is the, let me show you the sequence. So this is my sequence right here. And if I go to the final review, so this is the email that, I'm using here. Like, hey, Paul, I've been looking at how campuses handle real-time safety day to day. When footage from the Charlie campus incident circulated, it reminded me how often cameras capture everything, yet real-time awareness still comes too late. The gap between recording and response comes up a lot in campus safety conversions. Is that something your team has talked about at company named AI, or not really? So, a basic CD, I'm not asking asking them to get me on a meeting with me. And a simple PS personalized PS that we were finding it here. So here's the simple email that we will be sending. So here are some more emails. And finally, in here also, I'm using second source of finding people using Apollo as well. So I'm here using find people at company by job title, and I've given us the job title that I want here, and then I'm writing them, sending those people to this Apollo contacts table. Again, I'm segmenting the title and everything here also as well. So if Apollo's is doesn't unlock the email, we still validate and reject the same way. And again, I segment these titles so that we don't reach out to the wrong people. And if needed, another option is to copy all the website URLs of the companies that we got and paste it into the Apollo website domain filter and write all the job titles, and then we can scrape those people by using any third-party Apollo scraper or something, or even if we have a personal Apollo account, then we can export that from there as well. So The important part is that, once this is set up, the workflow is fully autonomous. If I, ever run out of leads, I don't need to rebuild anything. I just add more locations, run the rows, and new leads automatically gets added to the campaign. Ambient also serves India, so later, we can also add Indian cities, states, and countries and reuse the exact same flow. Like, let's say, if I, run these first rows, I don't have to do anything now. It will, basically this all workflow is autonomous. Let's see. So it's in queue, and then in here it's it's autonomous. Okay, I think I forgot to turn on the auto update in here in this table. Really sorry about that. And then in companies table also, this everything is autonomous. It finds the website. If you look here, it is first qualifying the company. If it's a yes, then finding people at Apollo, and then with Agent too. So in this prompt we are finding people using Agent also, and then this thing will go in. Let's say no relevant decision. Okay, so here we got some people in this company. So see, so these people are in this table now, Agent people. This is also autonomous. Everything is working automatically. I don't have to do anything in here. So you see here, sending the title, finding the work email. If it's a catch-all, verifying it using bounce pad. And then generating the subject and case lines, and then automatically we are filling the campaigns with working leads. Similarly with this new table, Apollo contacts will do the same. And yeah, I think that's already been one. So see, it's in queue and looking for the achievements in the security feeds, and then adding it to the campaign as well. So let's see. So previously there were 17 leads, and now we have 78. And then we can run this campaign. So yeah, that's the workflow. Everything runs in the background, and I don't have to touch it once it's live. So yeah, thank you guys. This was it, and thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Amazing. So that wraps up the eighth, I believe, demos. Real quick, so heads up, we are running just a little bit late on time, and we are running into some technical difficulty for this upcoming demo. So, fortunately, all the judges was able to view all the presentation offline already. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and announce the next two and show you guys the last one before Karen takes over. But team number 9, Manav Jord. I'm so sorry I butchered your name. I totally did. But yes, something's up with your Canva presentation. So unfortunately, we are not able to save that live, but all the judges were able to view the submission already. So yeah, we're just gonna unfortunately have to skip yours for today. But the last one that we have is going to be Ankit. I'm so sorry. I'm definitely butcher your name again. Yeah, without further ado, just to save some time, we're gonna go right into your Loom video, and I might speed it up a little bit. But yep, don't worry, all the judges has been seeing all the presentation offline already, so we're just gonna speed things a little bit up so that we can go right into the closing ceremony.
Hi, very good morning. So I've built the flow for ambient, and the ICP I have chosen is I'm going to target VP or Director of Physical Security in data centers. This is how my workflow would look like based on the research I did and what I think is the best use case for them in this scenario is like most data center companies are right now expanding. So obviously they do have the budget. They are getting the investments right now. So there is money to be made there. So I'm gonna start with the workflow. How, or maybe I can tell you why I chose them. So basically there are multiple things Ambient can help them achieve, which is first can stop.
Sorry, good no, I think was showing a wrong demo. Let me just quickly double check. Little bit of accident happening. All right. Okay. So let me pull this up again. So sorry. Wrong submission. No wonder. I was like, I don't think the last presentation is this long. There you go. All right, this is the real one. There he is. Sorry, Ankit. He's probably like, I look a little different, but there you are. All right, let's resume.
Hi there, my name is Ankit Modi, and I'm going to quickly share with you my go-to-market strategy for AI. The market that we are targeting is large hospital systems because we believe that they have time-critical environments, they already have extensive cameras and access control, GSOCs are governed by other 40, and they face high legal, regulatory, and reputational risk. We are specifically targeting hospitals that have at least 5 to 50 branches or above. Currently, we are focused on the director and VP of physical security as a main buyer persona will make the financial decision. But the champion is GSOC manager, who is the actual person running this on a daily basis. The current core problem is that hospitals don't have a camera problem; they have a signal problem. Meaning, there are thousands of alerts, operators desperate because of alerts not being able to give accurate data. Videos even after the incident, not before. Manual processes don't stream across. This is where our go-to-market thesis will come into play. For large hospital systems, the fastest path to VX is showing that Ambient AI improves response clarity during high-pressure moments like AI intake without replacing existing cameras or access systems. All we need to do is let them know how our AI can improve their operations. Currently, we have decided to target accounts based on the video criteria. A high-fit hospital is the one who has badge access and they have a dedicated security team. Signals is a multi-site hospital system and they're hiring for GSOC, physical security division. Anyone who's hiring for GSOC is the perfect fit for us. When we reach out to them, it is based on these signals, intent, hiring, or multiple stakeholders engagement. The actual workflow that we'll be using is this. The first trigger that will happen is that a hospital posts a job for director of physical security or create job items. Workflow is that we will detect a job posting on LinkedIn, and then once the job posting has been detected, we will enrich the account by the number of hospitals they have as per the criteria shared above and the GSOC structure. Then we'll score it, and then we will decide is this a right fit for us or not. And we will also come up with ways to identify if this will generate a good potential contact value. And then we'll find decision makers, verify work emails, autograph outreach sequences based on hiring signal, and then push to email sequencing tool. And we can also verify the account executive to manual outreach. This is signal-led outreach, not spam. We see the outreach approach. This is the copy that we will use in terms of our in terms of our approach. So this is the copy that we will use. Here, first name. So you're hiring for a job title that we put up, usually a science security operations testing. It is how content are teams today that ER related alerts. We need immediate action. In our hospital systems, we keep seeing the same question point when a patient enters the ER. The first minutes are operationally noisy, not just clinical. Security alerts, crowding, access issues, agitation, everything comes to attention. When alerts aren't trusted, teams hesitate and downstream decisions to Ambient sits on top of existing cameras and access control to surface only real actionable events in real time. So GSOC teams provide clarity faster without adding the headcount. Open to a 3-minute demo on how this works. So this is the coding that we got, and after that we will also follow up with LinkedIn and code call. So this is day 3 call and this is day 5. This is the workflow that we have created on our go-to-market tool called Flocker. If you see, this contains the list of all existing job roles that have recently got published on LinkedIn. This is the job title that they're currently looking for. If you see, these are all the right decision makers that these hospitals are hiring for. So once the signal is generated, we analyze the company and then based on the different enrichment criteria, we find out what is the GSOC operation structure, what is the hospital count, and then we give them a score. Then we find the decision makers of the company using Apollo. And if we are not able to find the decision makers using Apollo, then we use another tool called AIDs, or we also use AI agent to find the decision. So ultimately, we will have a list of all the right decision makers from these companies. Then we'll find their work email, we'll verify their work email, we'll generate the code email, and we'll push to conventionally or a Slack campaign. So this whole workflow is also created here as a demo. You see, once the company was enriched, we figured out how many, what is headcount, and based on that, if they have the hospital GSOC structure over there, right? But then we give the account score based on how many hospitals they have and what is the structure. So any hospital who has more than a score of 5 gets qualified, and then we find the decision makers and we see conditional document for these others. Then we found the employees using agent, again conditional document for them. Then we found the work email, and then we created this score email for the landscape. It was also hiring for the security operations. Supervisor usually assign that security while using this. Here is how you can handle overload across multiple aspects. So this is the exact vertical that we just have automatically to do all the different things. So yeah, this is how workflow, and yeah, looking forward to your feedback.
All right. If you're falling asleep, wakey wakey. Cool. And that is the top 10. Congratulations, everybody who made it to the final round. Yes, all the scores are in, except for one. We're waiting for Emil. He just loved watching the stuff live. But yeah, most of the judges has been able to watch all your presentation offline already. So for the next 30 minutes or so, we are going to be tallying the score. So don't leave, stick around, because we do have Kellen in the house. Kellen, how are you doing today?
What up, bro? Thank you for having me. How's everyone doing? Congrats, top 10. Those are awesome. I love watching this.
Yeah,
Took a bunch of
congratulations.
notes, honestly. I'm gonna steal you guys' workflows.
Yeah, quick time check. I know we run pretty late, so I apologize for that. But could you go over it or?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I basically I can go till like 12:30.
Okay, got it. All right, so the floor is yours. I'll probably give you a time check around like 12:15-ish or so, or something like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Screen share. Got a little presentation to go through. Can you guys all see this? Let's see. Sweet.
Not yet.
Oh, nothing?
I don't see anything. Oh, I
Sandra,
see now.
I can see it on my end.
Okay.
Sandra's got me. No, just kidding. By the way, Sandra, great job. Anyways, okay, cool. So today I'm going to be going through message market fit, resonance, and outbound in the AI era. So, section 1, what's the problem? Outbound still works. Just kidding. Too many people misunderstand and think it doesn't, though. And so the tools have improved, right? We all undeniably, like the tools are getting better, but the results are not actually getting better on average. So we don't have a tooling problem. We have a meaning problem, right? And so here, this is a pyramid, right? At the bottom, data. Above data, as you add meaning, you get information. As you understand the application of that information, you have knowledge, and then knowledge in action as we're moving, right? That's wisdom. And experience brings us up this ladder, right? My belief is this cannot be engineered. This is something to be experienced and lived. So why listen to me though? Founder of a business called the Deal Lab. I've been doing this outbound stuff a long time. We're partners with a bunch of all of everybody's favorites go-to-market brands. Our business has been around like almost coming up on 3 years this in a few months from now. So we've been doing this for a little bit. We actually were doing outbound services pre, clay era, as I call it, right? And so before the sort of like we can program AI to make our emails bang, right? Before Jordan Crawford made it easy for a bunch of us to rip amazing emails, right? We used to have to think about things similarly but achieve it differently. So that's what we're going to be going over a little bit, right? So I've spent my career in outbound sales. I was an SDR. I was 100% self-sourced AE, no inbounds, literally zero. I was head of a go-to-market inside of a company that did not have a product and was just like a concept when I joined it. I then did fractional VP of sales working for Joey Gilkey. He now owns TitanX, if you guys are familiar. Now I'm a founder of my business. So I've worked across pre-product companies, post-product. We've done scale, reset cycles, new market development, all sorts of different stuff, right? And the tools, they have changed across all of this, but the fundamentals have not. So section 3 is going to be about words actually come before products. This is unintuitive. A lot of people I don't think about things this way, but I think it's very powerful. So people don't buy products out of nowhere, right? Like it's not, the decision to purchase this like supplement right here. Like I didn't not know about it and just randomly bought it, right? Because the product had market fit. Instead, conversations are entered first, right? And so this language is a little bit more for like B2B, but think of it as like we have to have the ideas about things before we make purchase decisions, right? Before you know the feature set of the product, you engage in some sort of, discussion. So conversations precede and they also vastly outnumber demand, right? For every 10 conversations you have with the market, you're not going to end up with 10 customers. And so if you're as a business, if you're thinking of it like some percentage of your 10 conversations are useful towards succeeding, you're missing out, right? Also, the way that words and ideas actually transfer between people is something people don't think about enough, right? And so I, as a speaker, have an idea, right? Inside of my head, there's these ideas that I want to transfer. I select words in order to, put formation to that idea. And then there's static, right? Think of literally misinterpretation of sound or focus, right? And so there's this static between the words I use and the words a recipient hears. And then off the words they actually physically hear, there's an idea that they derive, right? And so in B2B marketing, as an example, oftentimes what matters is the idea that a prospect walks away with, which is very different than the words that we selected to launch out into the world, no matter how right we are in our own head. And so product market fit happens after the conversation, but message market fit actually gets you that conversation to begin with. You also can literally change these words that you say to the market right now, right this second. Nothing is stopping you, right? Not your manager, not the company you work for, nothing, right? But we can't change the product this week, generally, right? Especially someone like me. I'm not a technical guy. I don't come from a technical world. I was just this like hired gun sales rep out in the world doing stuff. And so Section 4, why does message market fit exist, right? Most of the market isn't buying, right? So if you guys have seen this pyramid, Chet Holmes, shout out Chet Holmes, built this, right? 3% of the market is literally in a buying motion today. So if you send them an outbound message, you are being compared against whoever they have proposals in front of, right? 7% is open to buying, but not currently buying. These people have already thought about things, right? And sort of certain messaging strategies, you can kind of like snipe those conversations. But 90% of the market either isn't thinking about it, doesn't think they're interested, or knows they're not interested, right? And so being able to have messaging strategies that gets larger percentage of the market to actually be willing to talk to you is an advantage. If you're to take this and rotate it on its side 90 degrees, you would also have a timeline, right? Because these are cycles, right? Every company, the second they buy something, they know they're not interested. And as time goes on, they're going to stop thinking about it. Eventually, they're going to start to be open again, and then they're buying again, right? So every single company out there in your TAM is somewhere on this timeline, so to speak. And the messaging that would resonate and get them to be open to talk to you is different depending on where they are in these brackets. Yeah, I'll send you the slides. So future buyers don't know that you exist yet. Only a small percentage of these people are in market. Marketing waits and farms that existing demand, right? So that 3 or that 10% at the top, right? You can, compete for paid ads to get those people. But outbound to me teaches and hunts for openness to speak before the demand actually exists. In fact, it even lets you frame future demand, right? The demand that exists 3 months from now is going to be formed by the people using messaging strategies today. And transactional messaging strategies today just focus on why someone buy won't resonate with the people that aren't currently buyers, right? There's different stuff out there. So, section 5, cold start and inertia. 0 to 1 is the hardest phase, right? It's very difficult. This is Peter Thiel, if you guys don't know. Not because of the product, but because there's no shared language yet, right? We have this idea of something we're going to do. There's this idea of this market, but they're not actually paired together. And so message market fit either creates or discovers that shared language for us, right? Once the shared language exists, we start to have momentum, right? Everyone knows what it's like when you start to have messaging that's banging with the market and you're just like, man, this is easy, right? Shooting ducks. So inertia is power, right? Resonance versus personalization. So I believe in this kind of like hot take, and I don't want to be overly negative about this, but I think personalization is relatively fragile, right? If your messaging is created based on my little Supreme Christmas tree right there, that's not going to work for most people in this chat. And so that's going to work for just one person, right? If you think of this as a spectrum, left hand all the way out to the left is one to all messaging. So it's I say the same thing to every single person in the market. Right hand out over here is 1 to 1. I say a different thing to every single individual, right? And as you can think about it, 1 to 1 is inconvenient, right? Like it's not better to have to do 1 to 1 in order to resonate with your market. In an ideal world, you literally could say one to everyone and it's going to hit. Problem is, it's probably not going to, right? And so across the spectrum, a lot of times what we're doing is we're trying to kind of right size where along this are we aiming ourselves, right? How granular or broad are we defining our audiences? And then what can we actually say to them? And also words are finite, meaning like we can't just say infinity things to these people. So we're contained by like how much words fit into, an email or a page or whatever we're talking about. Right. So my belief, again, if it only works once, it's weak. Leads are weak. And so fragile systems basically require these perfect conditions, right? Like if we know this and if we have this data point and if, right? And it's like great and it's beautiful too. Like it's really cool. It's smart. Like I'm not, again, not a hater on this. I use personalization. I'm not against it. But it's just important to understand if the only reason this thing is working is because you can get, hard to get reach information. And if there are reasons and times that you're not going to be able to get that information, it's fragile. It's going to fall apart, right? Resonance, though, can work across multiple people, right? And so, everyone knows me best knows I'm a geek for this book, Anti-Fragile. This is a graph talking about the idea of improving under repetition and under stress, right? So the fragile under stress breaks. And so a lot of people think, how can we be, opposite of that? And so they might think robustness, as in resist change under stress, or even resilient, which is get better, but over time, those still eventually wane to, to failure. Whereas the anti-fragile improves, gains, benefits from these stressors on the system. And so we want to be an anti-fragile system. So, section 7, how do we actually segment things, right? So markets at a high level don't self-label themselves correctly, right? There's this flaw that's built into outbound and sales development and, B2B, all of the above, where it's like people are used to going to Apollo and they're like software companies, 11 to 50, like hiring signal, right? And they think that's their audience. But that's the pattern, right? And we need to break the pattern. If we play into the same pattern as everyone else, if we think of the audience as the same thing as everyone else reaching out to them, we're not going to have anything unique to say. Luckily, people subgroup themselves naturally, right? Like everyone on this call right now, you're not like the average outbound person, right? So someone said, not everyone here is outbound. We could say you're not the average GTM engine. Yeah, no one here is average, right? Like you're something specific again, you're a subgroup. Right. And so groups are cultural and linguistic, not demographic, right? Actually, something that I've been loving about this is it's funny, like how frequently we're like messing up people's names and whatnot. And I was thinking that's so cool that like we're from so many different places that the literal naming conventions that we all belong to feel super foreign, but there's definitely stuff that holds us together extremely tightly, right? And there's language that we could use around that. And so being able to speak to the specific nuanced preferences of your audience is high empathy, right? Like that is, it's very astute to be able to understand, as an example, reaching out to marketers. Are they product-led, sales-led, marketing-led growth, right? Those people are going to use different metrics to measure their success. They need a different volume of events to happen, right? And if you speak to that on the front end of something with, of a conversation or in your messaging without making them sort of correct you, you'll stand out. Right. So you can have the same product, right? The actual thing you sell someone can be the same, but the language is the thing that's actually different, right? People buy, think of like a water bottle. People buy water for a million different reasons. And in like Dasani wouldn't be smart to be sitting there like, no, 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 dude. This is why people buy water. It's like, no, there's tons of reasons, infinite reasons, right? And so using this sort of in-group language builds trust. The way I would think of it is identity beats information, right? Understanding how, so you can never land what you can do for someone before showing you understand what makes them unique versus everyone else that fits their pattern, right? So for me to say, like, trust me, I can build really good go-to-market systems for you uniquely. In order for me to be able to make that argument, that person doesn't actually need to judge my talent. They're judging, does Kellen understand what makes me different versus every other person that anyone who's built a go-to-market system has ever worked with, right? What makes them different, not what do you do different, right? Understanding that. So section 8, outbound as a truth system, right? The way I think about it, outbound isn't a channel, right? It's a testing system. And so every message, every campaign, it's like our hypothesis. And the responses that we get are data. So is silence, right? A lot of times people frame outbound as like we succeed when we're getting, high responses, high success, and we fail when we're not. The way I think of it is like the results we get tend to be the truth, right? And we're truth seeking. So invalidation of a concept is progress. That is moving the ball forward. Okay. When I used to do fractional VP of sales, VP of sales, I used to literally have customers that would be on like month 17 of having an SDR that they're paying, 85 grand a year or whatever. Plus they'd have a whole tech stack and they'd have like zero deliverability. They'd have like, 3 phone conversations a month, like almost nothing, but they wouldn't give up on it because they're like, I think this stuff should work. right? And so being able to very quickly invalidate things and conclusively invalidate things is much, much, much more productive and valuable than I think a lot of people realize. And so there's inevitabilities, I think I said this earlier, between market segments and value props. And so mapping them out and testing them is how we work through what does work or not, right? So channels as testing surfaces, right? So not all channels themselves are interchangeable. They're not the same, right? They reveal different truths or they work by different mechanisms, is the way I would think of it. So calling, right, which is beautiful, love it. It's synchronous. It requires high skill. It's high variance, meaning each repetition is going to be God knows where, right? They're like live grappling, right? It's like man in the arena, go get it, right? So the strength is it's very immediate. The weakness is it's reliant on humans. You got to hire people to do it, right? You got to put people hours behind that. Some people are going to argue that's a strength, and there's an argument there. It's cool. LinkedIn, right? Like LinkedIn outbounds, right? It's social, visible, it's identity driven, right? There are like these subcultures within the channel itself. So strength is context and credibility, right? A lot of people on here probably have cool little profiles that, you come send me a message and I'll click on it, and probably in 2 seconds, I'm going to know something about you, right? And we don't have that in email, right? The weakness is lower volume and it's profile dependent, meaning if you don't have that nice profile or if your audience doesn't care or doesn't, agree, you're not going to have that same strength, right? And so it's reliant on certain things. And then we have email, right? So asynchronous, relatively anonymous, and hyper repeatable. I love email because it doesn't require prior trust. You just show up and in like a 0 second uninvited moment, you either win or lose, credibility and willingness to engage further, right? And so repeatability creates clean learning through email, right? Being able to run campaigns over and over, same audience, it's very helpful. And so the most repeatable channel tends to produce the best signal because the data we get, right, is very clean. So craft over tools. Something I state a lot talking like to my team and people I coach and whatnot is like the best home builder is not defined by the hammer, right? And that's the products we use, right? Tools do not create the outcomes, right? Craft does, craftsmen. And I believe that we are craftspeople in our spaces, right? Not just conduits to the tools. And so understanding survives tool cycles, right? Your orientation to nuanced market perspective, 6 years ago, if you were doing that, you're probably still doing it today, and everything looks different, but here you are. And the reason is that difference in how you apply yourself, right? It's not the tools, it's not the access to the stuff, right? So outbound is a truth machine. The best medical lab doesn't force results either, right? So if we're like a medical lab, think like we run clinical trials, you have 100 formulations. You're not like throwing away 97 of them and you're like, trust me, bro, like for the last research we did, like that other form of cancer, these three things work really, it's, you got to test it all. And so it runs really, really clean tests and the truth is emergent, right? The truth just is, it will just happen. And so outbound's the exact same thing. You don't bend reality to our beliefs. We don't go like, trust me, dude, I really aesthetically like running campaigns this way. Therefore, let me be, the round peg forcing myself into the square holes. Instead, as reality emerges, we have to adjust our own beliefs and our own understanding, right? We adapt to what we're seeing. And so in the AI era, AI helps us skill that labor, right? Like our perspective, how do we, be as involved in as many things as is going on, right? That was stated poorly, but basically, like we can be touching more of the things. Back then, it used to be like Kellen with like 30 reps. I'd be like having all these check-ins and talking to people, blah blah blah. Now, like I can just like orchestrate these experiments, send them out into the ether, and in days get the data back, right? And so AI though isn't deciding the meaning, right? And I'd love you guys should host a debate next, and I want to like argue with all the AI bros. Um, but not that I think people make this argument too much, but I do think that like meaning is derived outside of this. The way I would think of it too is like GPT, it's like predictive, right? And so it's kind of like the average next output of the string of logic is sort of like what these LLMs are outputting, and which is the pattern. That is the pattern. They're predicting the pattern of the next thing. And if we're trying to create pattern interrupt, think of it like music. Like AI hasn't invalidated artists in music. Why? Because music is not just inclusion of the next most likely thing to be enjoyed, but it is taste, right? It's discretion. And so humans decide that meaning, right? And so to me, message market fit has become more important more prevalent in the AI era of outbound, not less. So, closing philosophy, and then we might even have a little bit of time for questions despite all these slides. So I think we shouldn't copy what works, honestly. Instead, we should ask why it worked. When something works, it's not like, how do I force that to work elsewhere? But it's like, what is the thing in this situation that was the unlock? One of the ways I state it is like people are single issue voters. So it's not like all of the 50 million GTM engineering stuff that we did in the background, like that isn't why it worked, right? This person in a snapshot had like a sentiment of a feeling off of an email, or they listened to a voice note or whatever it is, and they were open and responsive to that. Um, and we want to understand, like what was that person feeling, right? If you ever think about like a bite of food that you took that you loved, or a song that you've listened to and it just hit a certain way, right? You'll realize that like human experience is not so logical, right? It wasn't like you took the bite and you're like, oh man, like there's 13 grams protein, 7 grams of fat, 2-to-1 ratio. Like no, 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 no. It's instantaneous, right? And so as we ask why did that work, and then we try to apply the pattern elsewhere, we again, the truth will be emergent. And so I think we can own our own knowledge in the system. As we apply it, we build our own data sets, our own perspective on the world. So I don't think we need better tools. We need better hypotheses. Outbound is how we discover, validate, and invalidate them. And that's how I got. Any questions? That was 100 slides in like 28 minutes or something.
No, I really appreciate you for those slides. If you have any questions for Kellen, drop in the chat. I do got a few, but yeah, I mean, like, really just want to double down on that. Like, don't copy everyone else's playbook, right? Like, this is the whole idea about pattern interruption, right? You send the same email as everybody else, you're gonna get treated like everybody else, right? Um, but yeah, so I guess I do have a couple questions for you. So the first thing is we got a small debate, back then. I think if Emil in this call, you know what we're talking about, but between, I guess, like, when it comes to code outbound, there's a lot of like stuff, right? There's like infrastructures, there's copy, there's targeting, there's leak list. What would you say is something that people should put like the most emphasis on?
I think like I really just say like perspective. And the reason I say that and what it means to me is like, so deliverability, email validation, a lot of things like that are multiple like accelerators or decelerators towards success, right? Meaning if you have, 50% deliverability in half, you get, or in theory, you're going to get like half the results, right? And so you're not going to go from amazing to zero. Like that's not what, screwed up deliverability looks like necessarily, right? We can get into kind of like the hyper nuanced arguments about some of that stuff. But to me, again, it's why I say usually the results of campaigns are the truth. Usually the results we get are basically like the inevitability between this concept and this audience. And so I think as long as you're good enough on most, to me, when I run campaigns, I'm always just thinking like, is this data representative of the truth, right? Because the big risk is like, is my data set somehow screwed up in a way that's not representative? And that's where you can do things like split test the campaign, run it again, try new, there is all this other stuff. But I think a lot of people think of success as like a bajillion check boxes, and one of those check boxes is like segment the market, and one of them's like creative copy or whatever. When again, really, it's like this person's going to get a message. They're going to like in 1 second basically judge, is this worth me like diving into a little bit further? And if yes, they're going to like briefly read it. And you have that long to make an impression for that person to go like, damn, this guy knows me enough that I'm willing to go spend some time with them. And so I think like perspective and nuance is underrated and something that people focus not enough on.
Yeah, thank you for that perspective, and I think I agree with that too. Right? It's like no, depending on the case. Like sometimes the lead list is more important, sometimes the copy is more important. Um, and yeah, I think Kellen also just dropped the gamma slide in the chat as well. But yeah, if you sign up for the event, we're gonna send you guys one last newsletter. So keep an eye out on. We'll send like all the sessions and all the recording and all the asset for you guys too. Um, any other last minute for Kellen? Kevin, what do you see 2026 going into in terms of AI tools and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think like, I mean, I sincerely my expectation. So there's this thing called the Lindy concept, right? That my friend Paul Scalise writes about a lot.
Hmm.
Comes out of Nassim Taleb's Anti-Fragile. But the idea of it is like it's a mathematical probability on the future existence of something predicated on its historical existence, right? Meaning the longer something has existed through time, the more likely it is to continue to exist. Think coffee, right? Like coffee's been here for thousands of years. Like it's probably going to be here 10,000
Yeah.
years from now. Whereas like blue energy drinks are pretty new. And even though I love those things, they're probably not going to be here thousand years from now, right? And so to me, I think of it as like, what is the relationship that the individual has? Again, and I think it's like perspective. And I think like the Lindy, go to market thing is going to be like unique perspective, like creativity on creation of things, and then like working hard and organization and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think like the scale and the speed and everything like that is just going to get so crazy high that if you are not able to like extremely quickly be like commanding decision making in that environment, it's going to be hard to be as an individual hyper potently valuable. And so to me, it's like the same stuff, just more and faster and with like a lower, like it'll be less and less acceptable to be like half-assing it basically.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. We do got a couple more questions on the chat, so let me just run it down. So the first question is, how often do you test? I think it's a great question. How often do you test? And I guess I can expand to that is when should you stop testing?
Yeah. Super good question. So, like anti-fragile, right? Like the idea is barbell theory, right? And so okay, I'm gonna try to hit this well. So people who have high asymmetrical results, right? Meaning like they don't come from like higher effort inputs usually. And so the most likely way of getting an asymmetrical outcome is a low probability asymmetrical outcome event, meaning it like winning the lotto, so to speak. And so the volume of low probability, high asymmetrical bets that you can place, meaning the numerical count of them, is how you maximize your likelihood of hitting one. So, like if you launch 20 campaigns a month versus two, you're 10 times more likely to have one of them be the one that hits. Right. And so barbell theory is like this concept of like allocating max amount to this low probability side of the barbell, but on the other side, balancing it with avoid catastrophic failure, basically, or like avoid death. And so the idea would be like, because the largest risk to placing more incremental bets is like getting fired or whatever. Right. And so you have to like balance this. Um, Always be testing. Like literally never, I believe never not be testing it in it the relative like the relativity of what you're testing, I guess, changes. And so day one, it might be kind of more broad strokes, like different markets and segments and personas. And over time, that should kind of cinch up. But again, the more it cinches up, I would be more and more willing to test outside of your like averages because the things that work today will over time wane. And the net new testing is where you reinvent the next new thing. And you learn a lot through randomness. And so just having like high volume, high velocity, we tend to think of it as like 2 week ship cycles. If you think of like product development life cycle, kind of like sprint architecture, if you do, let's say 2 to 4 step email, like let's say you do a 3 step email, then and it's one email every other day, then if you launch cohort A on the first of the month, like no one is going to be done with that sequence that first week even. So it takes at least a week plus some change to have some bit of the cohort go through all 3 steps of the emails. And so I find that doing like bi-weekly cycles is a really clean way of like defining audiences, building shipping things, getting data, and then interpreting it to reship. So you have like this hyper regular cadence to things. Hopefully that hit it.
Awesome. I like that. I like that. Um, I think on that topic of testing as well, just follow-up question from Sandra. What do you weight more when you test? Subject line, CTA, all kind of stuff?
Yeah. So again, like I think it's really, really, really important. So there's two concepts, right? There's what we as the builders control, and there's like 100 factors. That isn't what makes a result happen. What makes a result happen is the interpretation by the recipient, right? And so the thing I would ask is I'd be like, Sandra, do you think that recipients feel the subject line the most, the CTA the most, the this the most? And I'd basically test against the things that you believe is going to most meaningfully change your perspective and understanding of what you're trying to learn, because it also just like depends. But generally, it's not like I have 5 campaigns and they're all the same, just like with different subject lines. Usually it's going to be a little bit, so we kind of go like market, segment, persona, angle is like the phrasing I would use for how we, build out campaigns. And so a campaign would be like a certain angle or idea to a certain persona within a certain specific segment of a certain market. And we may be testing like this angle or idea to this persona, and we might have like 5 different angles to the same persona in the same segment, the same market. It might be same angle, same persona, different segments of different markets. It might be same angle, different personas. So it can kind of be like all over. And there's also this concept of like what a customer wants versus my thoughts, right? Because I'm usually also kind of triaging. Like if if you're paying me 50 grand to do this, like you probably have some opinions of what that should look like. And if I have really, really different opinions, it's really high risk for me to like ignore what you want and just do what I want. But it's also really high risk for me to ignore my intuition and my experience and just do yours. And so I think, again, it usually we start with like map out as much variance and breadth on the front end as possible. And then we have a scarcity of what we can actually run. And that becomes sort of like the value that we're delivering, is helping work through these tests and these ideas that this customer wants to test with the market.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Calvin. I think that's all the question that we have for now. Before you go, if anyone else has any other question, where can they find you?
Yeah, dude. Nowhere. No, I was just kidding. So I run a Slack group. It's probably the easiest place. gtmcafe.com. We do like a Friday 10 a.m. Pacific time group call every single week. We've only missed it once over like 2 years. Super, super fun. Lots of competitors, go-to-market engineers, a bunch of competitors, like all of you guys. I'm also on LinkedIn. And then, yeah, I mean, if you want, you can email me, but I'd prefer if you hit me on Slack or
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
I know Kevin's in SF somewhere, so maybe
Oh,
one
yeah,
day
yeah, Bay Area. That too.
I'll go look for your address and I'll tell everybody like, hey, if
Do
you
it.
have a question for Kellen, this is where you can knock on his door.
Yeah, throw pebbles at my window at night. Yeah.
Good of the night. Hey, how do I test subject line?
Yes. Write it down. Yeah.
Um, all right, Kellen. Appreciate you for the session today. All right, everybody. But feel free to stick around if you want for the top 3 winners. But yeah, let's go right into the top 3. Yeah, we're closing up the event now. So, Thomas, my co-host, how do you think about the event? What do you think about the demo?
Yeah, no, I think the demo was fascinating. I think you had to, really stay paying attention just to grasp every small little detail that people put into things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was very impressed with a lot of the workflows. I think, shout out to a number of freelancers that, represented themselves, but also a number of agencies that sent some of their best people too. So I think we had some pretty great representation, and I feel like everyone's always like calling each other out, like, oh, AI sucks, or like, I'm doing this with AI, and then this is kind of just the melting pot of bringing everybody together. So
Yeah.
it was a good time.
Yeah, I like that. And also, we see a couple collaboration between different agencies as well. So super cool to see that. Yeah, if you missed some of the statistic, just the top 10 itself, we got representation from like all over the world. So we got some representation from North America, South America, Europe, Asia, India, all that kind of stuff. So really excited to see that everybody coming together. Yeah, thank you so much everyone for the event. We'll do one quick raffle. So this is gonna be for Master Inbox. This is the biggest raffle that we have for the event. So pro subscription, I believe, is like a couple $1,000s per year. So let's see who will win. Hamzak. Hamza. All right, you know what? Because this is a big raffle, we will spin it one more time. So what we're gonna do is we'll reach out to Hamzak first, and if he doesn't reply, we'll reach out to the second person just to have some backup. Let's do one. Let's do one. Oh, Joe. Joe. Johannes. Very nice. All right, so we got Hamzak and Johannes for the raffle. Yeah, Hamzak, we'll reach out to you first. Johannes, you'll be second in line if we don't receive it. All right, I don't want to waste anybody's time, so let's go ahead and announce the top three. We're gonna end the event right after this, and I just really want to say thank you so much for if you're watching the live stream, if you're attending today, or if you're competing. Really appreciate all your work and all your demos. I know it took some time. If you have any suggestion or feedback to us, let us know because we're gonna run it again next year. Season 2 is gonna be so much better. But yeah, are you ready for the top three? Give me a little drum roll. Oh, by the way, a little fun statistic for you. The judges unanimously voted for the top three. So the rest of the scoring is a little bit of like mixed, but the top three, they all agree on the same people, which is crazy to see. You ready? In third place, we got Ken. First to go, but definitely not last. Ken, congratulations, you are on third place. Oh, by the way, we're gonna sort out some of the logistic stuff after the event, so might communicate through email, WhatsApp, just to get you the prices ongoing. All right, that's Team Wave 10 for you. On to second place. We got a duo. Jorge and Anthony from the GTM Engineering Company. Congratulations. So this is what I meant, a collaboration between, I believe, two different agencies. Teamwork make the dream work. There we go. Second place. All right. Oh, by the way, if you see the pattern, see, I told you, if you have a team name, the chances of winning is actually increased. So next time when you sign up for Ignite, make sure you think of a team name. All right. In first place, once again, unanimously voted by the judges for the top three. Super impressed of this person. It's a solo participant. Crazy workflow. I think he thought of everything. So super excited to announce Ignite 2025 winners goes to the drum roll. Subin, congratulations on the first place of Ignite. Let's go, Subin. Let's go, Subin. Amazing from Metis. All right. Everyone else, if you don't get, a top 3 rating, don't get discouraged. It was a very difficult competition to judge. I'm sure the judges also have the same feeling. But yeah, let's wrap up the live stream now. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending Ignite 2025. It's been such a banger, so much fun. Next year, we're gonna throw it back. Yeah, any feedback for us, shoot us the message on WhatsApp or send us an email. Really appreciate everyone for your time today. Bye, everyone. Congratulations on the top 3 winners.